We live. Fuck, let me go grab my tissues. Fuck, I forgot. Be right back. All right. So we live. All right, so we live. And we chilling. So I got something. I thought about making a video about this, but I didn't want to come off like, like basic bitch shit. Because it is like some bitch shit. The next topic I'm going to talk about. Because this would be like a perfect video for a woman to make. And it'd be guaranteed like, at least like 60,000, 100,000 views, something like that. But I went through domestic violence at home. And that shit got rough. Like, not at the time, but like the logic. So long story short, Kratos' mama is not allowed back in my flat ever again unless I don't live here anymore. Like, if somebody takes over the flat, she can come up here. But like, as long as I'm in here, she's never coming back. She fucked around and came in the room I was playing the game in the other room over there. Came in over there I don't know if she was drinking or what. She came into the room on some drug and starts wanting to talk. And she fucked around and came over to me like mad and put her hands on my neck. I'm not making this shit up. Put her hands on my neck. And I just grabbed her hands and pushed her off, and she fell all, over. She's a woman. She doesn't have any sense of, balance or preparation for anything. So she fell all. I didn't even throw it that hard. She just fell over. And I told her, I said, I just told her, I said, look, I said, the next time you walk out this door is the last time you walk out this door. You are never allowed back up here again. And that's it. Kratos' mom is not. Kratos come here. He was here yesterday and today. He spent the night last night, but she is not allowed back up here. I don't know what Instagram tramp she started listening to, or some dude at her job, or some woman at her job. I don't know where she got that shit from. But yeah, she's gone. So yeah, she's gone. She will never, like, unless there's like a serious emergency or like Russia invades or something like that. I told her this when we was walking down the street. I said, unless Russia invades Czech Republic or something like that, like, you are not allowed back in here unless it's like a serious world emergency. This shit's got to be on CNN before she can. She could be somewhere watching CNN and be like, I wonder if one will let me back in. That's the only way. She's not allowed back in here any other way. It's over. She completely messed that up. Again, I don't know what she was watching on Instagram or some social media. She got to listen to some fucking jackass somewhere, and they done hyped her head up into thinking she could just do shit. Well, so she is expelled as long as I'm here. Just join. What's up, Elijah? She came in the room on something and put her hands on my neck. She asked me first. We started talking, and she wanted my advice, my opinions, and I always told her my opinion. So I didn't say anything out the norm. She knows how I am. And she came and I was sitting on the bed over there, and she came over and she reached over and put her hand like she was mad and did it. You know what I mean? And came and put her hands on my neck. So I threw her off. I grabbed her hands, threw her off, and I told her, "Look, you're not allowed back in here anymore. It's over." Because I'm not living my life with I am. It's especially now. Maybe if I was 20 and if she was just really pretty, I could have put up with it for a while. But at going on 40, no, no. I am not living my life um in a relationship that is anywhere near that direction. Where domestic violence is now normal, and just living day to day with just like with that instability just in the air now, like that is forever done. I'm not doing that. Not doing that. Because I told her, because she was apologizing the next day. We took the baby to school and all that because we walked him to school. I told her I'll still meet you in town somewhere to walk him the rest of the way to school, but you're not coming over here. And she was apologizing. I know I fucked up. I fucked up. I said, look. So I said, I accept your apology, but I was talking to my dad. I think if anybody remembers, I had my dad on here probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and he got in a domestic violence situation, and I was there. I seen pretty much the whole thing, and I remember like when he got married to my stepmom, and he got into a similar a similar situation with her. He legitimately almost lost his job, his house. I remember he had to go on what's that called? House arrest. He had to go on house arrest at his brother's house, like on the other side of Cincinnati. And I had never seen anybody on house arrest, right? Because so like now I know what it is. They give you this like this box that like pretty much just, I guess it pretty much just pings the bracelet that you have on your ankle or something, so you can't leave the house, right? Like, and it was all but over a lie that this officer made on him. His last name was Renner, and that officer, I don't say these things unless I truly mean it. I genuinely hope that officer gets cancer and dies a very slow, agonizing, and painful death. And I don't say these things unless I know what that entails. I watched my mom die a slow, agonizing, and horrible death. I know what I'm talking about. All right, that Officer Renner, I genuinely hope he dies a slow, painful death from cancer. Because he deserves it. Because he literally wrote in his report and completely lied on my dad. Just made it up. Nothing. Because I was there. I seen everything. So, Officer Renner, if you still alive, I seriously hope you get cancer and die. And I want it to be as painful as possible. Anyway, back to my situation. To I seen what domestic violence did, a domestic violence mentality that came to my dad, right? And he had been working, I think, like almost 30 years at this point, and he could have lost his job over a woman. You know what I mean? And the woman doesn't lose anything. She, if anything, she gets glorified and praised, and they'll give her a bonus at work for it, right? But you, as a man, you gonna lose everything, and nobody gives a fuck about you. And I seen how that happened to my dad. I had to been maybe about 20, 21, because I was in college at the time. That's when I was going to college, the very first time. I didn't get a degree that time. Um, I watched how what that is. I know what that is, and I told Kratos, and I said, "Look, I've seen what that is, and I'm not repeating that mistake. I'm not repeating that again. You're done." And then she kept trying to find little slick ways to try to talk her way back into coming up here, and I said, "No, I don't want you up there. I will come bring you something down on the first floor, but you are no longer allowed. If I told her if she even thinks about coming up here, I'm gonna call the police on her. If she even thinks about coming up here, if there's a knock, because there's a locked door before you get to this actual apartment, so she can't even get into this hall. She can't get into the building, but once you get into the building, then you need a key to get into my hallway, and then my hallway you get to my actual flat. So like she can't even get into this hallway if she had a key to the building. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna call the police on her. But yeah, so she's done. Yeah, she's finished. Ugh. But yeah, so that's all I got to say. And that's all I got to say about that. Forrest Gump it. What's up, Flick? Do not get married. And if you want to have kids, you might want to think twice. When it comes to kids, I would just say don't have kids in a Western or in a feminist infected country. That's my general. If you want to have kids, don't have kids in a culture that's been infected by feminism. Outside of that, see, once you get outside that feminism shit, like all those child support, all of that immediately gets like, more actually equal in reality. You know what I mean? Like it actually becomes equal once you get out of feminism. Feminism is not about equality at all. Okay. You get out those countries, as a man, you will now actually have some genuine ability to do something. I'm not saying men don't get screwed over, here or anywhere else, but you'll have much more. Any guy I've ever known who's had children here, their lives, okay, they're complaining about child support, and it's literally $200 a month, and they make like $1,500 a month, $1,000 to $1,500 a month in Prague, and they're paying like $200 a month, and they're just like complaining. I remember one dude, I say his name. He's from the UK. His name's Kingsley. And I always bump into him here and there, but we never really hung out. But I've known him like the whole time I've been here. But we always just kind of bump into each other walking down the streets of Prague. This is a black dude. His name's Kingsley. I remember he was like all mad in the kitchen one time. This is one of the rare times we actually like met somewhere and actually sat down and hung out. And he was all frustrated about paying child support, right? And this is why I didn't know how much he was paying. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm thinking back like in America. America, you get fucking like they'll destroy you in court just out of spite and just out of emotions. But here he was the Kingsley. We was here in Prague. He's this black dude from the UK. Because he was teaching me slang like safe. Like I don't know what the fuck safe means, but he would say, yeah, safe. It means like peace out or something. I don't know, but he would tell me that. And I remember he was all down the kitchen about child support. Say, oh man, fucked up. Right? I said, damn man, how much you paying? He goes, like about $200 a month. And I start laughing. And I said, no, I'm laughing because that's nothing, dude. Like that's fucking nothing. Just $200 to keep a dingbat bitch away from you as she has your kid, dude. That's fucking nothing. Like I leave an extra tip on top of that shit just to make sure she stays the fuck away from me. I pay her lawyer a tip just to keep her away from me. Here's an extra $50, bro. Just take her over there. He was all down about it because he had a baby with a Czech girl. Um, he was all, and then another dude. He's from South Africa. I think that was him, the friend from South Africa. He was down about it too, and it was like the same thing, like $200 a month. And my other female friend, she's got a kid with an American dude, right? And we was talking about her child support payments from him. So she lives in Česká Lípa, where I was living, and the cost of living is even much lower there than it is in Prague, because Prague is the capital city. And Česká Lípa is just a small town, an hour and a half away. So she was mad because her child's father has another daughter in the state of Florida, and he pays her child support. He was paying both of them's child support, but the one in Florida he was paying $400 a month in child support, and the one and here he was paying her like $200 a month or something like that. And my check, the female friend who was getting $200 a month, she was mad because she wanted the $400 like the other one was getting. She wanted to be she was saying she wanted to equal and even and all that. And I was trying to explain to her, like, look, like that $400 a month in Florida ain't shit. And in a state like Florida, $400 is like $400 in Florida would be like $100 here, maybe even less, probably like $70, 50, $70, something like that. Czech Republic, $400 is a car, not probably not even a car note payment in Florida. But in Lipa, $400 that damn near be that's like probably about 3 weeks of pay in a place like Lipa. Because you got to remember, once you leave Prague, once you leave any capital city, usually the average the wages can almost be cut in half on average, right? Um, yeah, that's wild. It's all good when they're back to the brothel. Now I was hanging out with these 20-year-old girls, these 20-year-old girls today. We was walking to the tram and we were just talking about shit. Um, and they real cool. I've known them for a few months now, and we just be hanging out. But they're real cool. Cause the one girl, she like we had to work together today, and she was just excited. Like she just ran over to me and sat next to me. All so close. I was like kind of shocked. I didn't know what to do. And then like how she just like this is how she just looks at me. Like it's just like this. But it's not even just about how she looks. It's with them. I spoke about this about a month ago with dating 20-year-old girls. Like, yeah, I mean, the only awkward parts I've seen so far is like, yeah, the 20-year-old thing. Like, they don't have anything. Because for example, the one girl today we were talking about buying pots and pans, and she had just got a pan from her mom because she didn't have a pan to cook in, and 'cause she's 20 and she's at university, she doesn't have any money. So those are parts are awkward because they don't have anything in life. But the good part, you can always find good 20-year-old girls, but you have to find them while they're in their journey on a track for a profession. Like you're not gonna find these girls hanging out at Applebee's or hanging out just hanging out in the mall and Applebee's. Like if they go to the mall or something like that or Applebee's, they're usually going for some group thing from school or something like that. These women don't just linger in these places too often because they got that focus. But they're really cool and interesting girls, man. Really nice. Like I never had to fight for a conversation or anything like that out of them, or I never had to create conversation. None of that, and not one time since I've known them. And they genuinely are just like really. Now, an average 20-year-old girl just like in the world working at Bob Evans or some shit like that, yeah, like she's not gonna, she's a piece of shit. Like, I mean, she's literally only good, if she can just smile, take off her clothes, and bounce around a little bit, and after that, she's completely worthless. You see what I'm saying? But you, like I said, there's good 20-year-old girls out there. You have to be in a world that's about something to come across them, right? If you're not about something or in a world that's about something, like you're just never going to see these girls. They're just never, you won't even know they exist. Matter of fact, there's, actually my next door neighbor, every person in that play, they're like all 20, and all those kids are in medical school. The reason why I know that is because one time I was walking up, I forgot, I ended up talking to one of the girls, and that's how I heard, and that's how I got the information. Like they're all in medical school, and I don't know if they're like doing some type of flat share or something like that. But like all those people in my next door neighbors, they're all in their 20s, and they're all in medical school. They don't mess with people who are not in medical school or like genuinely intelligent. Like if you're not doing something or like or have done something with your life, they don't fuck with you. It's just how they are. Like I can see it in their face. That's just how they are. They not dealing with motherfucker. They ain't dealing with cashiers. All right, it just is what it is. You got to be about something. What's up, BTR? Oh yeah. So WDCHR. He said if the kid takes the mom's side, they'll just treat you like they're supposed to be. Here's the thing, man. The other part that was like really bad, that really was like, damn, like the reality of why it was like wow was because like after because that was at night when she did that, when that whole situation happened, where I pushed her off me and all that. Then we went to the next morning. We took our son to school, and we was waiting on the train to come, and she just like hugs him, and in this like motherly hug and kiss, and to think about how deep that is, that he had no idea of anything that happened the night before or anything. He doesn't know. He's just a kid who just wants his mommy, right? He has no, like, to him that's not even possible. Like when he gets older, right? And if he messes around and asks me, like what happened, like he like it would be hard for him to to truly, you know, see the reality that his mom came and put her hands around my neck, right? And I pushed her off me. You see what I'm saying? And it's like how many kids, how many fathers out there are living in that situation, right? Because growing up, mommy is mommy, and it's really fucked. Like women have like the most shittiest positions, in terms of character because like they don't have to have any character. A child is most of the times a child is always going to have some default love for mommy over daddy, right? Unless it's a rare case, where it does happen where some kids prefer daddy over mommy, at earlier ages. But usually they always prefer mommy number one, and dad is like the possible bad one because dad's usually the one who's like putting order in them and making sure they pay attention and follow rules and stuff. So dad's usually pretty, dad can always disappear. Same thing when I was a kid, man. Like same, but same thing when I was a kid. Um, Mom was number one for sure. But like just seeing her with this fucking like Instagram influencer hug and like with her eyes closed while she was like hugging him and he was hugging her, and and knowing what she did the night before, it was like fucked up, right? But here's the thing, here's the other part, and I didn't tell her this, I didn't tell anybody this. This was the other part that was like really, if that didn't seal the deal, this really sealed it. So she, we have been having so many problems pretty much every week, to the point where when I took him to school today, I was speaking to with one of his teachers through a translator because she doesn't speak English at all. But she's really nice. But my Czech is just not that good. And her English, we laugh about it because her English is like my Czech. We're just not, we can't really go in depth in conversation. So she shows me like the Christmas pictures for the kids, right? And so I'm thinking that, oh, maybe they already took the picture and I just got to pay for it. No, we had to set that up to get the pictures paid for. So in the midst of like all this like bickering and fighting, we literally cannot coordinate to get a fucking picture taken at our son's school. Like I don't want to be a part of that. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to be with an adult who is so incompetent, that we literally cannot coordinate getting some $15 pictures taken at his school. That's pathetic. Okay, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. So she's done. She's finished. and here's the thing: she'll never tell him this when he gets older. She'll never bring up any of this when he gets older and he's becomes a teenager or even an adult. She'll never bring up any of this. The fact that like I want the pictures, but the fact that we were so busy, quarreling over some stupid emotional bullshit the whole time that we literally could not get children's pictures, Christmas pictures. She'll never tell anybody that. I will, but she won't. My wife does the exact same thing. Jesus Christ. Well, okay. Luckily, like we're not married. I just would call her my wife, but we're not married. But if anything, we're divorced now, for sure. For sure. Well, technically, I wasn't married. PGHG. We weren't married technically. My wife took my kids away from me for 2 days simply because I raised my voice. That sounds about right. Yeah. Well, not that sounds right. And see, yeah, and WD. I'm just gonna call you WWD because that's too long. Um, and see, that was the other parts that like that was where that was another area where I noticed things were starting to get bad was because I would say something like Jesus Christ, like, and then she would get mad at me for saying Jesus Christ. So like 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 I said, I think she was watching somebody on Instagram because she doesn't have many friends because she doesn't have many friends. I think she was watching somebody on Instagram that was putting some shit in her head because none of these things were issues, this entire time. Um, I'm fairly certain it was something on social media that gave her the courage to start, trying to run shit for no reason. But it was getting to that point where like she was trying to like I guess calm me down or something, or trying to make me censor myself. So I'm gonna end up like Terry Crews on Everybody Hates Chris. In that just abusive household that Pam put him through from Martin. He all scared to talk out loud and all that shit. The bitch go kick fucking rocks. Yeah. Mm. Because my dad, he asked me, he said, "Well, what happens if she takes him and she don't want to let you see him again?" I mean, but I look, and another friend of mine, he asked me that a while back. I said, "Look, like she could do that when I think everything's fine. So why I'm not gonna even mentally deal with that until that time comes, okay? Because I can think everything's perfectly fine, and she could just take him and run off, like one of my friends' wives did. That is not okay. Like when it comes to them taking the kids, I say let her take them. That's that, that's my opinion. I say let her take them. Let her, because at this point, like I said, okay, now in my situation, I'm fairly certain she didn't got to watching either some type of Lifetime movie or some Netflix movie or some Instagram movie where she's got this like delusion in her head of what and who she is and because because most women don't have like especially women in Kratos' mom's league of women, they don't have any real independent personality, so like they have to like adopt another one, like how Beyonce had so many women singing single ladies when Beyonce had a man at home. I mean, see, Beyonce sings to women like Kratos' mom because they're dumb. They don't have that strong sense of self, because they've lost themselves, and she lost herself. She gained weight. She's getting older. It is what it is, and I'm not saying this to talk bad about her. It just is. I'm only saying like that the actual fact of the situation. Um, but yeah, I say let them take them. That's my that's honestly my opinion. Let her take them. Women get so influenced by media. It's crazy, especially with all the female influencers today. What's it? You can call me DW. YouTube has my old username posted for some. Oh, okay. So just DW. Okay, DW. Cool, man. Not saying this happened in your situation, but the worst part for me is in the midst of all the chaos, you sit back and look at her like, motherfucker, are you enjoying this shit? Man. Yeah. And then and then with it being here, like when it comes to like a relationship, like I just like and this is the thing. Like I genuinely don't care about a relationship. Like I think we was getting into an argument, probably like a debate the day before, and she was getting ready to go back to her flat. Not out of like, arguments or anything like that. But she was going to go back to her flat. And I asked, because usually when she goes out there, she ends up not taking him to school because her emotions are bad. So she'll just disrupt his entire education because of her emotions, right? So I said, okay, are you gonna take him to school tomorrow? And she's getting mad because she wants me to ask her about her emotions. So I flat out told her, like, I don't care about your emotions. That has nothing to do. Your emotions are gonna be your emotions no matter what happens. So you got to deal with that. I want to know if you're gonna take him to school. And she starts this whole big thing because she wants everything to be about her emotions. Now, if I was like 20 years old, I would fall for that. And at 40, I'm not fall. I'm a grown man. I'm not falling. I don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care. Um, yeah, it's really rough, man. But I did want to talk about something else. I want to talk about the realities of spending money, right? Like by country. Because I was watching this YouTuber, I think his name's like Amon or something like that. And he was talking about, was it like MacBooks are for the rich, or then he was like, I think he was talking about like gaming PCs are for the rich or something like that. And because he said he's from Kazakhstan, which I know some, actually one of my friends from Kazakhstan wrote me. I never wrote him back on Instagram. I know him. Let me see. He wrote me on Instagram. I never, because I just don't write messages. Or here he is right here. Ruslan is his name. Ruslan. Ruslan is his name. I'm not gonna put his picture up. Yeah, his friend from Russia. He sent me a message. I didn't even see this. Okay, I'm just right back to that later. But anyway, like, and I got in a long conversation with ChatGPT about this shit, right? Because let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not gonna put it, but I'm just gonna see. His name was like Amon. Was it Mac? Yeah, this is it. Yeah, but he had another one talking about like gaming PCs or something like that. Now this is like, yeah, buying a MacBook is different in third world countries. This type of shit. Now, like, here's the thing. I think the guy does a good job with his videos because I watched the whole thing, which is not common for me, unless it's like got something to do with race cars or Batman or some shit like that. Like I usually don't watch whole videos on YouTube, but I watched the whole thing. I thought he did a good job. And this is when other parts in me started to click. Right. Well, not well. Okay. To be fair, it didn't start to click now, but it's been clicking the longer I've been out of America, right? And just seeing just how fucking retarded the rest of the goddamn world is, right? Like how unbelievably retarded. And I mean serious, like retarded, right? And I'm gonna elaborate. So he had one like this about buying a MacBook in a third world country, and then it was another one about gaming PCs or something, talking about video cards or something like that, right? And I've been thinking this for a while. This is a wrench. I got my son this place set like months ago, and it's just sitting right here. But anyway. And even with Czech Republic, because I was walking in the grocery store today, and these motherfuckers was advertising iPads for Christmas. And this is some of the most serious. The rest of the world has a significant mental illness. Like everybody has mental illness at some point, but like when you are really out here, like in the world, and you really start putting intellectual thought into like what people are buying and why they buy. Like, why the fuck does a country whose average wage is $500? Why do you even care about a MacBook? That's not your life. Let it go. Now I understand why when them old maritime motherfuckers was traveling around the world and they would travel to like what would be now like Ukraine and shit like that, and they would look at the people and they would be in their journals going, oh yes, they're a nice, calm people. They would make great slaves. Like now I'm siding with these motherfuckers. I'm siding with slave owners now. These motherfuckers need to be enslaved. All right, you need it. Like we have, like you are not happy until you're enslaved. Like I'm fucking Uncle Ruckus. He's sitting over there with the big eyes, shit. Wow. Like you motherfuckers need this shit. Why the fuck are you even worried about a MacBook? What? Okay. This was the first area where it really started to grow. Because I've been noticing this for a long time. I'm going to read it off in a minute. Give me 1 minute. Thanks for the donation, man. This is a big area where it really started to hit. Like, it really started to snowball in me, right? I was trying. If you watching, there's somebody who watches. He comes to visit me from time to time. And I would always wear this watch. And the battery was dead. And I would always wear it in a way to hopefully remind myself while I'm out to go get the battery changed, right? But it would always the battery was dead, so it didn't work. And so and I was hanging out with, if you watching, you know I'm talking about you. And you say, come on, Wendell, I'll go pay to get your battery changed. Don't worry about it. And we went and they turned us away from one place, and then they kept turning us away. We never got the watch battery changed. Well, anyway, about 2 weeks ago, I was out with Kratos' mom, and I went to go ask this person how much would they charge to fix my watch, to fix my battery, to change my battery, right? And he said about 350 crowns, which is like about maybe like $16, $17 to change it. I'm like, are you fucking serious? In Czech Republic, he was charging about let's just say $15 to change it. Now here comes where critical thinking comes in. This fucking dude was charging. Okay, as an American, this is not a bad price, but he's charging $15 to change a watch. Okay, now when you factor in the average wages, the wages of Czech people, these people are spending $30 to replace their watch battery. $30. I said, look, I just wouldn't even, if I was Czech, I just wouldn't even have a watch. I'm all right. I just catch a clock walking down the street. If I had to pay $30 to replace my watch, I said, no, I'm cool. And I left. And you know what I did? I went, let me go grab it real fast. I'll be right back. Let me go grab what I did. This is what I did. Let me see if I can change this. Can I make the screen bigger? Yeah, here it is right here. This is what I did. This is a watch kit. Guess how much I bought this motherfucker for? 300 crowns, which is about $15. I bought this watch kit. I even learned. So I went on YouTube and figured out how to use this. You had to put the screws in the top, and you put this because my watches, they have the screw on back, and I put the watch Here, and I'll put it in this one. If you want, I can go show you how to do it. All right. I put the watch in here and then just unscrewed the back, took out the batteries, went to the store, got a battery for like $4 and put in myself. And I replaced, I changed 3 watches like that. All right. I said, look, if I was a Czech person, if I was a Czech person and I wasn't getting ready to buy my own actual watch fixing kit, I just wouldn't buy a watch. That's a horrible price. Would you spend $30 to replace a watch battery? That's fucking crazy. Fuck you. That's crazy. But now this is the sickness that I'm going to go to with Amon's video, right? This is the mental illness I'm getting ready to get into the rest of the world. Because people love to try to make fun of Americans. I think the rest of the world is more pathetic. I think the rest of the world is seriously, violently more pathetic. And I'm going to go into it. So, and this is what I'm fairly certain most Americans aren't even aware this is even going on. Because most Americans would not think the rest of the world would be this dumb. Okay. So, in America, we know that Lamborghinis and Ferraris are status symbols, right? But we know that that's just not our lives. So, I mean, you'll have a fool here or there who will rent one or something like that. But most Americans know, but 98% of Americans know, okay, look, that's just not my life. I'm going to go ahead and let that go, bro. That you out my price range, you out, that's not my culture, it's not my mentality, no, it's gone. Now, once you leave like the West, most of the rest of the world is surviving off of $300 to $500 a month max. Most of the rest of the world, right? And these these fucking idiots are trying to buy Apple products. Why the fuck are you even thinking about an Apple product at this point? All right, that's not your life. Let it go. It's over. These motherfuckers are sick. They should have, like what Rick James said, they should have never gave you niggers money. They should have never gave them niggers the internet. Now, I'm not talking about I'm talking about everybody else outside of the West. They should have never gave you motherfuckers smartphones or the internet. Because you know. These motherfuckers in Czech Republic, they're out there advertising iPads in the grocery store. These motherfuckers make about $900 a month. Don't you need an iPad? No, the fuck you don't. You better get you that Android and be happy. No, you don't need no fucking iPhone. Your average wage ain't even enough to buy a damn iPhone in 1 month. These dumb motherfuckers, wherever the fuck this Amon dude is, these dumbass idiot fucking retards are going out there saving months of salaries to buy this shit. And these motherfuckers like $500 a month. But it's a status symbol. We gonna rent an iPhone to look cool. I heard they be doing that shit in Brazil. They just be renting iPhones for a night at the club. You fucking retards. Like what Charlie Murphy said, you fucking morons. I think y'all motherfuckers are more. If you are in a country, that's why I didn't like Ukraine, because them motherfuckers out there with Dolce and Gabbana and shit, and they average wage is fucking $300 a month, and them motherfuckers walk around Dolce and Gabbana. Y'all motherfuckers are stupid. You're sick and you're dumb. You're dumb and sick. It's stupid. You're fucking stupid. All right. And they're talking about you poor. But you sitting up saving for an iPhone. The fuck? You are as dumb gets. If there is an award for a dummy, it is these motherfucking countries. Y'all motherfuckers should get the dummy of the universe award for that shit. a fucking trout ain't that stupid. Trouts be swimming towards a damn bear, and a trout would see that shit and be like, "No, I don't need no iPhone." Ain't that what bears be eating trouts? And them trouts be swimming right up to the bear, and a trout would probably win an IQ test higher than these motherfuckers. These countries look, you motherfuckers need to be enslaved. Mo, I get, yeah, it's status. They want to prove they're better than their neighbor. It happens in every third. At some point, at some point, you got to call it quits. All right, even if you go in the hood, right? Like you're gonna have some idiots there too, but for the most part in the hood, people know they're like, okay, yeah, I ain't got an extra $1,200 laying around, and I can't get a $1,200. I'm just gonna go get a good Android and call it a day. But so I'm going to take it a step deeper, right? Now, here is the deeper mental illness, the deeper sick parts of these poorer countries. This is the twisted, fucked up shit. Is okay. It's not this video, but why? There's another one about gaming PC or something like that, where the people in the poorer countries, they'll tell you that they will Google the average wage of their country and say no, it's actually lower than that. Because I think he said like the average wage in Kazakhstan was like $758 that's posted on the internet. But he said in reality, most people don't even earn anywhere near that. It's probably more like 400 to 500, which I've always said these kind of things, which I agree with him on that. But then, like literally like 2 minutes later, he looks up the average wage in North America and just immediately runs with that. Like Americans are just rich. They have extra money laying around everywhere. Every American's like that. Like it's just like I don't know what's happened, but like I said, they should have never gave them motherfuckers the internet because your happiness is now being completely destroyed by chasing shit that there is no way possible you can afford. They should they should just take the internet out these countries. Just take it out. Or just do what China does and just sanction that shit to like just that area because it's destroying them. And they don't realize how dumb they look. Like I said, in here in Czech Republic, these motherfuckers are walking around with AirPods and iPhones. So either it's fake or it was a terrible financial decision. Okay. But they don't see how dumb they look. They're just scrolling Instagram, seeing other people with iPhones. They don't see how stupid they look. They look incredibly stupid. There is nothing intelligent about that. Okay? Nothing. Know your fucking role where you are with money and find your happiness in there until you can build up out of it. I mean, okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I just looked at my bank account earlier today and I'm getting another check from the VA, which I'm happy for because I could have got fucked over in that. I can easily go buy a new iPhone, like the newest iPhone right now, and not even notice the money being gone at all. Like literally not even notice it, right? But is it a smart decision? No. My iPhone is an iPhone is a SE, is an old SE, and it does everything that I want or need it to do, exactly how I want it or need it. It plays my Apple Music to my Pros 3 that I really don't like, but I can't return them. The Apple ecosystem, I like. Here's the thing. Oh no, okay. So I bought my son this $100 Samsung phone, right? And in reality, I like that phone better than this for real. Now the only reason why I don't give him this phone and I use the phone I bought him for like $100 is because of the actual functionality, the ecosystem. That ecosystem, like the Apple ecosystem, just has me hooked. Like I can't leave it. I can't leave it. Yeah, I don't think the AirPod Pros 3s are great, but it's that ecosystem. It's the world functionality with the noise. Like once you get in the elements with the AirPod Pro 3s, then I kind of like them more than the other everything else. But like it's the functionality. I could type something in notes or take a screenshot, and it's just on every device now that I have it, in here. The only reason I use Windows is for gaming, and I don't care about Apple in terms of like the status, because that means nothing to me, but it's the functionality and the ecosystem is what has me like trapped, and I can't leave. Um, status. It's always the motherfuckers who ain't got no damn status who want status. It's always no correction. It's always the people who don't have status and don't have a hope at having ever having any status that thinks they think they can trick the world into believing they have status. That's how you get countries like Czech Republic. From what I'm gathering from this dude, Kazakhstan's in the same boat. That's how you get these, because motherfuckers who actually have status don't give a fuck about it. You know what I mean? Like, they really don't care. Matter of fact, I was writing another friend of mine from here, and that dude's plenty enough money to buy whatever he wants. And for the most part, he don't care. That dude has plenty enough money to buy anything that he can want outside of buying a spaceship, something like that. Hey, he don't be out running out there buying a new iPhone every 2 months and all that silly shit. Y'all motherfuckers are sick in these poor countries. They should have never get. And I agree. Here's the thing. I'm agreeing more with them slave owners. Like, these motherfuckers will make great slaves because they'll do anything for that iPhone. They would do anything. They'll do anything for that iPhone. Just dangle that iPhone in front of them. Come on, twerk for an iPhone. An iPhone. Hey, congratulations to Apple for making it to that point where, they can be, like, just their products can be a status symbol. And here now, I'll say something embarrassing on my behalf. So I was cleaning out my closet in the other room, right? And I had like all this. I forgot it was even in there. I had like the Apple Pencil box, the MacBook box, the Magic Mouse box, the AirPod box, different AirPods boxes. I had all these the iPad box, and now I wouldn't buy Apple products just because of luxury, but I will say this. When I held those boxes, they just felt perfect, right? And I remember feeling like it would be a crime to even consider throwing these boxes out because they just felt perfect. I got the Apple TV box, all that shit, right? But I wanted to throw all that stuff out so I could make room to put my books in there. And I remember I was like, oh my God, these Apple, they just feel so perfect. And I even wrote ChatGPT. I wrote ChatGPT. I said, why does it feel like a crime that I'm getting ready to throw away my Apple boxes? Not the Apple product, just the box that I ain't seen in years. They said, no, they do that on purpose. Like, they strategically make the boxes feel like that as a premium thing, like to trick your brain. So I said, okay, now I'm going to do a thought experiment. Now I'm going to intentionally trash them, even though I know it's going to hurt. And I'm going to see where my brain goes after that. And I threw them all out. I will say that the Apple boxes, they do a great job with that shit. I think I still got my Apple Watch box over there. Because it's still on warranty, so I don't want to throw that out quite yet. But the older stuff I threw out. But yeah, these motherfuckers, like the poor countries, like, dude, just let that shit go, man. Like, let it go. AD, watch Tara Reid. She was, she's horrible. I know. Yeah, she's all gone. She got hooked on drugs, and I remember Tara Reid was popular when I was younger. I know she is. I'll look her up, but I'm aware. Oh yeah. It's all about flexing. Overspending is prevalent. Yeah, overspending is an issue everywhere for real. There's very few. I'm talking like in single digits of countries where people have any more than $500 saved up. That's an issue everywhere. Most people are going to eventually fuck up with that for sure. Um, yeah, but like Apple, like maybe I'm just more frustrated with Apple products because I've always been kind of bugged by it here. I think that was where I first got a full awareness of it, knowing what these people are going to earn and then and they're gonna save up months and to buy this buy these Apple products. And then like because I told this story a while back, I was gonna buy a MacBook when I was in Ukraine, and I was gonna do a lot when I went before I'd gone to Ukraine. I had these plans to do a lot, and I remember when I got to Ukraine, the first thing I noticed was I could just tell by how they would walk and move that I would never keep a flat there without me being there. Like I could just tell by because again, like I didn't grow up in the hood, but I spent a lot of time in the hood, right? Relative to most guys from the suburbs. Like I can see how they move and I can immediately tell you, no, don't leave nothing over there. And when I got to Kiev, even in the rich parts, I can tell there would be absolutely no way I would leave anything of any value in Ukraine. I mean, I never felt unsafe. I never felt unsafe, but no, they just ain't right out there for real. I'm not saying they're like bad people or anything. 'Cause I got another story about that happened at my kid's school where they was making fun of Ukrainians here, but they do it in Czech so the world will never find out. If anybody reminds me, I could tell that story too. But when I was in Ukraine, no, never. And then I remember the next thing I noticed was their cell phone bills were far cheaper than Czech Republic. And the other thing I noticed was clothing was far more expensive. Like Massimo Dutti, which is like a fancy Zara, was like more expensive in Kiev than it was in Prague. Even though their wage is like a third of what Prague, or maybe a 60 to 70% what Prague's is. I mean, what was that? Like maybe like a third, a fourth to a third of what Prague's is. And then the last thing I noticed was because I wanted to buy a MacBook, and I went to their version. I forget what the name of it, but it was a red. I remember the color was red. It was like El Dorado or something like that. That's like their version of like a all you can all your needs and like a tech store like a Best Buy kind of thing. I think it was El Dorado. Let me Google it. I think it was El Dorado. Yeah, this looks like it. Yeah, because they got phones and laptop. Now, the first thing I had noticed, well, okay, that was the last thing. I could just tell by how they was walking and moving that like there is no way I would ever buy anything of value out there because if something were to go wrong, like I would not trust them at all. Like I would not trust that they would even be educated enough to fix it, be educated enough to be trained in the material. Because here's one thing that happens that I wasn't aware of. Like, or here's one thing that happens that I would have never given much thought until I was like in the environment like this. Like these like now I understand why there's no like Ferrari mechanics in like a suburb of like average homes because those people will never have access to the tools, materials, and the knowledge to work on Ferraris. You see what I'm saying? That's a more specified. Generally, I mean, it's probably not gonna be true, but you get where I'm trying to go. It's not a general, you know, understanding. Like the reason why these parts get more expensive is because they're proprietary to what they do. Um, there was no way I was ever going to buy $1,000 laptop out of there. Like I would never. I just would not trust that at all. I just would never trust it. I wouldn't trust them with any type of warranty plan. Like knowing what I know now, I would never buy anything over a $100 that did not have severe Westerner influence in it. The reason why I say it is because and this comes this comes from legit sociology facts is that um, any type of customer service, customer satisfaction, the customer's right, any of this stuff, these are strictly Westerner um, ways. And this is why Westerner businesses dominate the world is because And there's other factors that play into it because the West does have more money because it literally just raped the whole rest of the world in the process of getting it. But it's not about just the financial exchange. It's about the trust as well. It's about the trust in knowing that if something goes wrong, they'll fix it without question and these. And that's what, most of the rest of the world, they just don't have the resources to even be able to entertain that. So it's this strict, I want money. You okay? Like let's say for example, so as an American, when you come over to Czech Republic, right, and you go to a grocery store and you gonna see it, so like to anybody who's American, in America when you go into like a 7-Eleven or something like that, and it's run by like some Indians or some shit like that, and they almost look at you or treat you like if you walk in that store, you have to buy something. Now you can't just walk in there and look around. If you walk in that store, you must buy something. That mentality. See that comes from that's a poverty mind mentality. You see, because they see you must need money, so you have to give me money, and I want money, so it's money now, right? And you're not allowed to leave until you buy something. And if you don't buy something, you're not allowed back because you just walk around and look at stuff. You're not giving me your money. Poor money, 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 money. Right? You will notice that when you go to any grocery store in Czech Republic, because my dad asked me about this. It's set up to where like it's set. Every grocery store in Czech Republic is set up in a way where you are basically trapped until you have to go through a cash register. There is no way to just walk out. Right? Like, because they're poor, they don't have the extra resource. Now they don't want you to think they're poor, right? Because it's just the reality of the situation. And these are going to be the people who will save up 3 months of their wages for a fucking iPhone, right? So like the concept in America where you can just walk into a grocery store and then just walk out. When you come over here, yeah, it's not like that, bro. Like like every grocery store is going to be set up in a way where you have to go through a cash register to get out, or it's going to be this hassle to just walk out because you just didn't see something you wanted, right? And see, it's all these little things that the entire world is in miscommunication about when it comes to like culture and punishments or why things are done or why things are the way they are. And I'm sure I'm missing stuff about the poor countries that I'll never understand. I'm only saying this from an American's perspective. What's up, Pug Plays? AD escorts already have in their AD selfies made with iPhone 17 Pro Max. But Apple shit is wild, man. Like, how the fuck? Like, Apple shit, like. And in America, like, okay, last time I was there, like iPhones are not even like. See, this is how disgusting the rest of the world has gotten with this shit. Like, the rest of the world does anything it does to like try to chase what Americans are doing. But in America, like iPhones aren't even like. I mean, people like the iPhone. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like your entire identity is based off a fucking phone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that same perversion. It's okay. What the rest of the world does with America is like what America does to like France. Like France is just this perfect place for it's just white heaven. It has croissants and jellies and shit, you know what I mean, and cheese, and nothing can ever go wrong in France because it's white heaven and all this shit. Same thing. Same thing. Wait, let me go. Let me click on. Let me go find that. RBT Tuesday's live stream request. Yeah, thanks for the donation. I'm gonna dig it up now. Yeah, they should have never gave these motherfuckers the internet, man. Like, because it's just destroy now. And you know what? I know I sound like them older rich people who I used to find this shit like offensive, like when I was younger to hear like older rich people talk like that, like they should have never gave you blah 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 blah, and I would have taken it as, oh, you just wanted to keep us out. But now I see it. Like now I entirely see it. Like they should have never gave these motherfuckers the internet. Like they should have never gave it to them. Cause
Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
they shouldn't. Hold on. So this dude's from Kazakhstan, and he said, yeah. So right here it says $865, but the dude in the video he clearly says that like that most people will never even earn. Most people don't earn that at all, right? Chasing this Apple shit is fucking gross. Well, Apple's fine, but it's the people. You see, you gotta realize most people need these materials since they're not proud of themselves. Yeah, yeah. But I just Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, an iPhone, dude. Like, but I see what you're saying, Mo, and I completely agree with you. But an iPhone, like, an iPhone, like what? Like an iPhone, man. Like they got motherfuckers in Africa buying, like in poor parts of Africa, buying iPhones. An iPhone, dude. Like out of all the problems, out of all the things you can fix, a fucking phone. Technology that's been around since Alexander Graham Bell started this shit. A fucking phone. I can see if it was like AI. Like let's say like if AI had its own like let's say like if ChatGPT was like legitimately its own standalone advice standalone device, then I can see that. I can totally see something like that because you can actually use AI to like you know grow and do big genuinely bigger things. But most people when it comes to a phone, dude, most people are just gonna scroll through. Look, the trains in Prague have gotten so bad now, everybody's just on their phone scrolling through social media. I'll look over and there's a girl watching Instagram of some other girl putting on makeup, like on the train. Like, is it that important? You know what I mean? To watch a makeup tutorial that you gonna be on a train and you pull out a phone to watch somebody else put on some makeup. That is sick, man. This shit is gross. This shit is fucking disgusting. And it's a whole ass library like down the street. You know what I mean? With all the knowledge. You see, like, what the fuck? Like these motherfuckers will actively walk past a library to spend $1,000 on an iPhone to go watch somebody else's life. These motherfuckers are retarded, dude. Like that is just retarded shit. These motherfuckers they need to be enslaved. Well, they are enslaved because they got to work to pay off their phone and pay that bill for their phone, so they are enslaved. But I get them old travelers. I get them travelers. Back in them early days of slavery, they used to go around and be like, "Yeah, these people are peaceful, calm, and nice, and they're very caring. They will make good slaves." Like I get it now. Like I'd be on a boat with him. Like yes, I concur. Let's go enslave them. Because here's the other part, and I'm gonna get to this video. This is when me and Kratos' mom we was chilling in the food court one morning. Because Kratos' mom is really somebody who needs to be enslaved for real. And we was sitting in the food court chilling because we had just dropped him off at school, and there's nothing else you can do until 9 a.m. so I can go to the library or go do something. But usually I go to the library at 9 a.m. And we got to talking about this situation of enslaving people. Oh, this is what it was because we was walking to this little grocery store on the bottom floor of the mall, and I was telling her how I had always heard stories about how Americans will get an online job in America and then pay some dude in India like $400 a month to do the job. Wow, like the actual, let's say the American will find a job for let's say like $4,000 or $5,000 a month, right? But it would be only online. So what the Americans would do is they would hire a dude in, let's just say India or Pakistan to do the job and pay them $400 or $500 a month to do the job and just keep the other $3,000. Which is fucked up. It's fucked up, right? That is super fucked up, and I used to be completely against it. But as I've gotten older, I understand. I understand. On many deeper reasons. I'm gonna elaborate. Because let's say if the American would go to India and be like, yeah, I got this job, but you got to go to America, this and that, blah, blah. Would the Indian even trust you? Or I'm just using India as an example. Or Pakistan, would they even trust you to go to America for this job? One. Or would they come up with some excuse why they can't go at the last minute? And would they, in reality, how would it actually play out? Right? Most people don't want to leave their home anyway. They don't want to leave anything anyway. Right? Now, so that's one big roadblock. The next big roadblock is, okay, well, if you do that, you could pay them higher, right? Well, the realities of paying people higher that aren't used to that, it's usually going to turn into either abusing the American at this point or some kind of way, or that person is now going to be in danger because like they don't know what to do with money because they never had it. So the reality of when you go to these poorer countries, like let's use like Czech Republic versus like Germany and the UK, right? Like the UK will pay Czechs like half of what they would pay a native like Brit, right? They're gonna pay them half for many different reasons, right? Um, but you have to keep them within their own safe zone. So the example I use for my ex spouse is we were sitting in the food court and they had just opened up and there's like Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Burger King, in this place called Bagatelle Boulevard and Ugo, right? And I think KFC's in there and all that shit, right? So I said, okay, look around all these people right now, right? And I said, how many of them do you think are holding their shit in right now? How many are holding their shit in right now as we sitting here chilling? And see those people, they woke up this morning, they they woke up this morning just like we did. They probably had the pee before they left. They probably hungry now. And you know what? And they're gonna hold their shit in so they can hand you a fucking McDouble with a smile. Now, if I was to go up to someone and be like, hey, like, if you decide to go to college, I'll help you paying some of your rent, or I'll try to, what can we do to get you into college? Well, would they actually try to would they actually try to do it, or would they rather still for real feel comfortable doing what they're doing, right? Like how many people would genuinely take that leap of faith and try something, right? Not to say they got to come live with me. Let's just say okay. Remember that story I told you guys a while back when that woman came and got me out the line to fill out an application for college? Now I was a person who took that leap of faith and tried, right? But most people ain't gonna do that, right? Most people want to sit down and feel. Most people on earth want to complain about their life, but in reality, most people. Let's say if a dude's working at Pizza Hut, wearing a little Pizza Hut hat and a Pizza Hut name tag, what would make him truly happy and comfortable is for me to go over there and say, "You're doing a good job," and give him a 50-cent tip. That'll make him genuinely happy in comparison to me talking him into going to college. So it's like, what can I So now, like I said, I'm agreeing with them slave owners. Like the motherfucker will make a great slave. He'll make a great slave. Let me read this comment off. I'm gonna play this video so I shut the fuck up. 80, it's not business what phone people use. You are unemployed living with welfare checks. Stop the Euro bullshit. Your content is so boring. Go back to your roots. Just start talking and doing the old style videos. Word up, Nick. Word up. Cool, man. The internet provides many people with fantasy land, both male and female, but I think such things are especially damaging to females. Yeah, yeah, for real. Donated really got offended because AD is telling the truth about Europe. Dude is used to people shitting on America, but can't handle people shit on. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So let me play this video. So because I am rambling way too long. Tracy Ellis Ross sports car boyfriend. Okay, so let's play this.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do so.
Age gap debate has got everyone talking. A growing number of women are proudly saying yes to love that breaks the mold. Their partners are younger, sometimes significantly younger, and they say it's brought new energy and new joy to their lives.
Like, this is my sports car, and it just turned out.
Oh, wow.
Simp Jutsu! Oh my goodness. We've broken down a lot of Tamron Hall shows, but this is the dumbest Tamron Hall show ever. And pay very close attention to my word selection. I'm not saying dumbest to be funny. I'm saying it because it's accurate. Strap in, because we're cooking these clowns today. It all starts with this journalist, Emily Liebert, who inspired this entire segment and was brought on for credibility. Why do I say journalist in air quotes? Watch this.
Emily, you talked to how many women around the country from all walks of life about this?
About 8?
You talked to 8 women.
It's not logic.
8 women. She talked to 8 freaking women across the entire country, and this is the research that justifies a national television segment? Damn! This is a joke. This is what I mean by dumb. This is the foolishness.
And also here with us, Emily Liebert, whose viral article asks this question: is a 23-year-old the solution to your dating problems? The comment section, let me tell you. Well, in the article, Emily says that many of the women she interviewed were hesitant about dating a younger man, but that one of the first things to change their mind was the sex. She also writes, beyond the obvious physical benefits, these women noticed that they felt safer and more comfortable in their relationships.
And there's the common denominator. These women are leading with... Check this out.
What were you looking for from the dating interview?
Look, this was all summed up by Patrice O'Neal. Summed this up a long time ago. I mean, I can speak more on it, but Patrice O'Neal summed this up a long time ago. Every woman is going to go through, okay, especially older women, because they've lost all their power in the dating market. They're going to go through a phase where she's going to date a younger dude, but the younger dude is her food, right? At first, what was the analogy Patrice O'Neal uses analogy? Something like, it was like she was a lion and she wanted to be with a male lion, and then but what happens is women, they at some point, they get frustrated of being the female lion, because even though she is a lion, she's a female lion, and the man lion is always going to be bigger and stronger than she is. So at some point, like, every woman is going to go through a phase where she wants to feel in control. So she goes out and dates a deer while she's a female lion, right? And at first it's cool, but then she's gonna lose interest, because she's gonna wake up one day and be like, "This I'm playing with my food. I want a real man. I want a lion again." And then she's gonna run, and well, usually by that point she's gonna end up dying alone, because the actual grown man isn't gonna take her back at that point. Because they just lost all their power. Now, the modern women, what they have to their advantage is that they do, Instagram, social media has helped them in maintaining the appearance of youth a little longer, or just learning how to dress better in general. So it is synthetically prolonging the inevitable. I'll give them that, but it's the inevitable nonetheless. Because at some point they will, unless there's some technology that comes out like that episode of Twilight Zone where we can just put our brain in just a younger body, like, or just whatever body we want. Like the women are always going to lose this. Sooner or later, technology is going to come. It's going to happen. But as for right now, they can't win. But that Patrice O'Neal already summed this up a long time ago. The female shark gets with the male penguin. Yeah. Patrice O'Neal, he's summed this up a long time ago.
Energy out there.
I wanted to feel like a sexual being again. I'd been a mother, I'd been a wife, and that part of me had kind of died.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted, that fun and that spark again.
Yeah. We are 17 years apart. Oh, he is so fun. He looks
Risotto.
You say you want love, but what you mean is validation. You say you want partnership, but you mean a witness who will finally say you're good enough.
You see that? Tamron Hall is playing right into our hands. The next time a woman complains about you taking your talents to Thailand to find a fine, young, fertile lady, you show her this clip and say, just like you, I want to feel like a sexual being again. But there's a big difference between older men dating younger women and older women dating younger men. And that's what makes this show so intellectually dishonest. Check this out.
Now, let's meet the men who made these women believers. Please welcome 45-year-old Chloe's 28-year-old boyfriend, Jordan. And 42-year-old Asha's 35-year-old boyfriend, Zach. Come on out, guys. Oh, my God.
I am very keen on words. Did you hear what Tamron Hall said?
Now, let's meet the men who made these women believers.
You're
The
not
men who made these women believers. They didn't bring out Average Joe the bus driver. They didn't bring out Jake the plumber. No, they brought out Chad and... When was the last...
Okay, here's the thing. Even though, those were like Chads and Tyrones, like those dudes, they just don't have the experience to match up. I would say, I don't know those guys personally, but in general, these age groups, they don't have the experience to handle a woman, especially an older woman. They're not going to have that experience. Unless they were running hookers, it's some kind of world like I was in when I was in college. Unless they were doing that, they just don't have. They don't have. Okay, here's the thing: the women know it. The women know it. They know it. Now, the reason why this works out for at least a little bit of time that it does work out is because it's the same thing as like black guys coming to Europe. It's the same thing. Let's make it clear. It's the same thing as like African Americans coming to Europe, or I don't know if you would call African Canadians. I don't know if you'd call it that, but like a black, it's the same thing as a black Westerner coming to Europe, because they're super fucking xenophobic in Europe. Like if you're like black and they think you're from Africa, like you gonna have a harder time. And I hate to say that, but it's just the reality. I don't say that out of happiness because I'm not African or anything like that, but it's just the reality of how Europeans in general will if you get them down and sit down and talk to them about it, they know there's a strong difference between Africans and between Westerner blacks and then like Africans. They have a hard line with them. Like I mean, of course, on TV they'll try to pretend like it's not a thing, but it is super a thing here. This situation is like a black and Westerner guy coming to Europe. Okay, a lot of girls will like you just because you look different. So in their head, like you are literally just you are I don't want to say caricature, but you're a character of an image that they already have of a black guy in their head, right? And I was telling my ex spouses now. I was telling her, um, like it's always like funny and sad at the same time. Like as a black dude, right? Like being in Europe and you're talking to like a European about stuff, and like you could tell like they already have like this image of what a black man should be. So like so like as you're talking to them, and let's say you start talking about Mario Kart or something like that, you could see like their eyes like lock up, like the imagination crash with reality, because like a black dude should not like Mario Kart because he hasn't heard in a rap song that black people like Mario Kart. So like they're like it'll be like this and it like crashes, and that's what it's like. They have to choose to just go all in and still be a decent human, or just kind of like taper off, because their illusion was destroyed. But here's the thing, like a lot of black guys will just deal with it because they're just a lot of men are just desperate to have sex, so they'll just deal with it. And that's what these guys are doing on with this. Like I think these guys really know the reality too, but they'll just go ahead and deal with an older woman if that means consistent attention and sex. Like that's it. So the sex is always going to be great, but when it comes to like actually talking to her or anything like that, that's when it's all going to fade. And every woman knows, unless you get a rare special guy, every woman knows that's true.
Last time you saw a fairy tale where Prince Charming was an average looking man? Look at Jordan walking out. This was a fashion show. Why do fashion shows exist?
Why?
To sell you the product, to make you a believer. And that's why women can't handle the red pill. The truth is, most women will never marry Prince Charming. That's why their evidence is a journalist who interviewed 8 people. The foolishness.
Emily, you really inspired this hour, combined with Cougar Talk and some of the women who are now, I don't like to say coming out of the shadows, but social media allows us to share much more of our lives in a very different way. Your article, you said, just find a younger man. Dating is horrible right now.
I stand by that.
You stand by that. Were you prepared for the comments? Because you say women have now discovered a loophole. What's the loophole?
Well, I know the way that I was raised and socialized. The idea was that we should always look older. We should always look up, find somebody that could provide for you, marry a rich man. And now the switch that has happened is that we can say like, hi, mom, I am the rich man. And I don't need anyone to provide for me. So now the question is, what are you bringing to the table? And I think that young men have such an interesting response to that.
Stop clapping, you fools. I am the rich man now. This is feel-good Kool-Aid that makes 0 sense. And it's not supposed to. It's just supposed to feel good. But the reality, every woman on that stage was once married to an older man. Why?
Why?
Because older men have resources. Yes, these men are younger, but they are established. They are not brokies. The phrase, "what do you bring to the table," was coined by women who were all dating up, despite...
Yeah, and they're always gonna maybe not always, but they're generally gonna be younger guys who are in progress, who are on a trajectory to pass them up. That's so sad, because the reality is like the woman is never gonna be she's never gonna feel satiated with this guy with these guys in any kind of way, because she had to be there. She had to watch him grow from a boy to a man, kind of thing, right? And sadly, like the guys are never gonna pick. They're never gonna know what happened. Like they're just in it for the easy sex, and a woman who can still put on makeup to pass as younger, Like they're just in it for that. So they'll never really see it coming that all of a sudden she just won't want to talk. Because the woman knows, these older women know that they're essentially, in a sense, stealing those guys' their younger lives away from them. Like they know it. Because every woman, I remember a good friend of mine, his mother, she always played like a really nice, kind suburbia woman, but she was a hood woman at heart, right? She was always very nice, very kind, give you anything to eat, whatever, that kind of thing. And, she's a black woman. She's always very nice, very nice. She played that role very well, but we would talk, right? Like behind the wall kind of thing, it's kind of like we would talk like in quiet to each other. And I remember one time she told me, she calls me her son. And she goes, Wendell, I tell you what, I don't care how old a woman gets. If she loves that man, she will. She goes. I don't care how many children she's already had. I don't care how old she gets. If a woman loves a man, she feels like she has to give him a child. She does, And the sad part is when women get older, like that feeling always stays there. Like that's the woman's ultimate way of like showing her input is by giving birth for a man. But when these women end up 45 and 48, like that is always like I hope any of these women hear this and see this, because they probably gonna cry themselves to sleep drinking wine after they hear me say this, because they know it's true, but they know most men don't walk around knowing this, is that once women get older, like that's another reason why women get super bitter and mad and all that shit, is because they know they can't, they know that they're not a good choice to impregnate. They know it, and it drives them crazy. It drives them mad. Honestly, it's so disgusting. This thing is so disgusting. I'm tempted to mute till you finish. Not mad at the women here. It's just more the hosts. If they were men, the questions would be more combative. Oh yeah, if it was men, yeah, they would have. They would have. Chris Hansen would have walked out. Chris Hansen with cameras would have walked out. They'd have had them all arrested. Kevin says, how do you think black men in Europe should act, considering most women believe they should be cool, can dance, rap, etc.? It really is a weird situation, because like I don't go out to clubs. I've never liked clubs. I mean, ultimately, like you can really just play you and just play the whole individual adventure. Because, for example, I was talking to my spouse a few days ago, right? Because I remember I was sitting there right here, actually. She was standing over there by the window. And we were talking about how in the modeling, because she said that, because I told her how I always, people, like many Czech people, especially when it's wintertime and my skin lightens up, they think I'm Spanish. They come to me and start, not Spanish, but they come to me and start speaking Spanish. I said that happens a lot. They'll come to me and the Czech people will start saying Spanish phrases, or because I walked to this one store and this older woman just starts like rubbing my face and going on about Spain and all this stuff. And I'm trying to tell her, no, I'm African American. I'm not Spanish. You know what I mean? and And she goes, and so my spouse goes, well, no, because you have a really, she goes, no, Wendell, your facial features aren't like a black person and all this stuff. And I've heard this before too. I don't have the facial features of like a black person. I said, no, I'm just like I'm just there's plenty of black people who look like me, but like you guys over here, you just don't get any normal media. Like so I even Googled, like, because I told her like it's like the media in the world is like so fucked up to black people. Like when they do pick black models, like they pick the most animal looking black model they can find. Like they will pick the black dude who looks like a fucking monkey to be on like Hugo Boss's website. You know what I mean? Like they will never pick just like a casually good looking black dude. Like it's always a motherfucker with big baloney lips and a big wide ass nose and a cheekbone and the motherfucker just look like a fucking in a suit just. But they never put the white motherfuckers that look like that up there. They never put the fucked up white motherfuckers up there. They always put the big animal black. So like all that does is teach the world that black people are just a fucking animal. Brown people are fucking animals, right? So by the time they see a dude like me or just like a regular black dude who's just well dressed and educated, like they don't know what to do, right? They're in shock, right? And then so we get off that topic, and then she brought up she brought up Tracy Ellis Ross, and I told her I said yeah, I've never cared for Tracy Ellis Ross because she always tries to play these parts that I think need more attractive women. I just don't think Tracy Ellis Ross is attractive. And so my spouse goes on, well, ex-spouse, she goes on and talk about how she used to she loves the show Blackish, but she had to like search hard for it because they don't put it on TV. I said, see, that is super fucked up. Like the world, like for those of you back in America, do you know that the rest of the world has very little knowledge of like any television show that has black people on it that are like just casually educated and just, intelligent? Like that is they will put Home Improvement, Step by Step, Saved by the Bell, Friends. They'll put all this shit. They'll spread this shit on syndication everywhere. But when it comes to black shows, they will not. They don't even. They don't have Fresh Prince. So I even told my spouse, yeah, like that scene when Will Smith was like crying because his dad left, that was an iconic scene that pretty much made Will Smith's career. That scene where he was crying because his dad was leaving. He's like, I don't need him and all that. Like I had to show her that scene. She had never seen it. They like the world always puts like brown people in like the shittiest light. Like they have no understanding of the show Blackish. I said, she said she tried to watch the show Blackish and she couldn't find. She had to struggle to find episodes on the internet for it. I said, look, that show is a working higher middle class black family. That's why you couldn't find it in Europe. But you won't have a problem finding Step by Step. She'll have a problem finding Family Matters, but she won't have an issue finding Step by Step. They'll put that shit on 10 times an hour. Like it's like the world is like people don't really think about it, know, or talk about it much, but the world is like super fucked up when it comes to black people. It really is. It's like extremely fucked up. So I was telling her like, yeah, like back in America, like I'm nothing special, but over here, they're not used to seeing like a black person who's just, decently dressed and, and doesn't look like who doesn't look like a monkey. They're not used to seeing that. So it's like they're just always like shocked and scared and staring at me like, what is that? Kind of thing. Because they're just so uncultured. Like the rest of the world is like violently uncultured. Like if people think Americans lack culture in the sense of like long-standing traditions, because our country's only 300 years old, so we don't have culture in that sense. But Americans are far easier to become cultured in the world, like by having experiences, like by traveling. Like these motherfuckers will literally live 6 hours away from another country and know nothing about it. These motherfuckers are a 6-hour plane flight from Africa, and these motherfuckers are still just as ignorant gets. Like, how do you stay that fucking stupid? Like, you have to work at that shit. You know what I mean? And they make fun of Americans for this shit. Y'all motherfuckers are across a river to Africa, right? And you still are dumb as fuck. The ignorance is astounding in Europe. Like, astounding, dude. Like... It is shocking. And that's not even a strong enough word to use when you seriously think about it. It's seriously shocking. Go on, well, I don't know if you could find like European clothes models and watch, you're gonna find all the black motherfuckers that look like animals. They're gonna find all the black motherfuckers that look like animals. And then they're gonna find all the white boys that look like Michael Jackson. When he was white. a little pretty boy kind of thing, right? It's fucked up. Or if they go find a black girl, they gonna find the first black girl with the biggest forehead, the biggest cheeks, the most shiniest nose, the doo-dooest braids that they can find. Like, yep, that's who we want on our models page. Like, dude, they doing the same thing that was that motherfucker Haim Saban with the Power Rangers. Remember when they first got Aisha on that motherfucker? I remember when Aisha, the Yellow Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, when she first came to that show, because everybody liked Kimberly. I never thought Kimberly was attractive on the show. I think she's attractive now as a thicker older white woman, but on the show, when she was like 19 on Power Rangers, I never found Kimberly attractive, but everybody loved her. I mean, she was a skinny white girl, but I never thought Kimberly was like, I wouldn't have turned and looked twice at her. But I remember when they brought Aisha. Let me show you Aisha. Aisha, she lost her body. She all gone now, but I spelled that wrong. So yeah, when she first came on the show, she had passed up Kimberly immediately, because she was first on there with straight hair. Her hair was like straight. She didn't wear natural hair, but when she had her hair straight, when she first popped on that show, she had immediately overtaken Kimberly, who was the Pink Ranger at the time, right? And then after that, not long, and like even as a kid, I knew what happened. As a kid, I had seen it and knew exactly what happened. They seen that she was prettier than Kimberly, so they put her. So after that episode, they had her in dookie braids ever since then. To uglier up, to make her uglier, and that's fucked up. That Haim Saban, whatever the motherfuckers whoever was it, that's exactly what and that's what Europe does to black men. They will uglify you if you got to stand next to a white woman. They're gonna do that shit. It's fucked up, man. Like, it's super fucked up. Because she fucked around and passed. She immediately shot past Kimberly. Yeah, that's about more what she was looking like when she first came on the show. And she had immediately passed up Kimberly, like, on the show. And I still remember seeing, because I remember the last view I had her, it was like overhead view. And that was the last time she wore that hair. And she was like dolled up, and they made her uglier. After that, she was never attractive again. They gave her straight up dookie braids. They gave her dookie braids. They do the same thing for the Asian folk. Put the most weird looking Chinese one. We need more shows like Blackish and the Cosby Show. Oh yeah, they don't need a Cosby Show. Nope. No. They ain't even gonna bother translating that or nothing. Like, it's fucked up, man. So back to the answer of being a black dude. Like, you gotta understand, like they're severely uncultured. Like, severely. I'm not saying that is like they're mean or anything like that, but it's like they're people. They just don't know. So like they don't know like how racist they can sound when they talk. They don't know like how racist their actions can come off. And some people can just be flat out racist, but like they don't, like, they're severely ignorant to like to racism by American standards, right? But I think they do know that America does put that pressure on the world to stop doing that. But I feel like if America were to just like collapse and like have no more influence on the world, like Europe would be where America was in like the 50s, without a doubt. But yeah, that's the answer to that question. Let me see. I used to watch this black YouTuber who lived in China and spoke fluent Mandarin. He would talk about the waitress. He would talk to the waitress, then the whole kitchen staff would come out and watch it. I think I seen a dude do that. He would just start speaking, because I think he grew up there or something like that. He's a tall, skinny black dude, and he would just start like telling jokes and shit in Chinese, and the people was like all shocked. But yeah, like like when it comes to that being culture thing, like Americans lack culture in the sense of like, you know, food, like genuine home cooked food traditions. You know, for the most part, we pretty much lack these things in culture. But when it comes to like becoming culture, like Westerners, people whose country was built off of maritime trading generally do much better, because like it's in their historical culture to know how to adapt quickly to other people, kind of thing, because they had to, right? But these countries that did not have a lot of experience with maritime, they usually they've stayed just, they're meant to be enslaved, pretty much. I hate to say that, but it's true. If they didn't have access to maritime in their history, they're pretty much just built to be enslaved. They have no ability to adapt, to think bigger. They'll pretty much never. I mean, the internet is kind of like synthetically creating it, but it's very clear when you sit at a table with some Nordic motherfuckers, some British people, and then like some Eastern Europeans, and you get us all at a table hanging out and talking, like you'll start to sniff out who's from where, and you'll know who's American, who definitely isn't from like a landlocked Eastern European country. You'll be able to anybody will be able to, over the course of 30 to 45 minutes, you'll be able to pick out, generally speaking, for sure. But yeah. When I was in college, I noticed European exchange students were drawn to me a lot. 80, did you notice this when you were in college also? I don't, there was a few instances. I remember there was a French dude, but I only met him like one time. Mexicans who live in Mexico are the same with black people. Most Mexicans who never traveled have never met a black person and ignorantly go off stereotypes from U.S. media. Yeah. That American media, and it's like, it's the American media. Okay, that was another thing. So like, I was telling my spouse, we was in line at Primark. Primark is this very cheap clothing place here, because we was getting baby some clothes, and I bought like a couple hats out of there for wintertime and some shoes for wintertime. And I was showing her that how much like Europe is like so confused in like hierarchy positions. Like it's really like, these are topics that I really wish like would become more popular, just how confused Europe is with this. Because let's say, for example, like black people, like African Americans, and crime rates and these kind of things. So here's another area where like Europeans are like severely confused. Because all it really does is like kind of like double down on them feeling better about themselves compared to like to the poor immigrant Africans who got to come here. Like, it just doubles down on that belief within their sectors. So another area was the food stamp situation, right? So, and I sent my spouse, my ex-spouse, there was a video where CNN got caught. See, what CNN would do was they would go to these food pantry lines, because the food stamp situation was fucked up because of the government shutdown and nobody could get food assistance. That's what food stamps or food assistance. So, well, there was people in line showing that most of the people who were waiting in these lines were actually white people. But what CNN would do is they would go and pick out the one black person and interview them and put that on national television. You see, so then by the time a European, like I was riding a bus one time and a European was watching American news, they'll just see the black people doing all this and it won't even cross their mind that a white American can be doing that. Like, see, these are the little fucked up ways that that don't get talked about ever. It's never going to make it the mainstream, right? Because it's going to hurt. I remember I was sitting next to this dude on a bus riding back home, because I catch the bus in this one area because the traffic is literally so bad. I'd just rather catch the bus because the bus has its own lane. I'm not driving to this area that I go to today. This was actually 2 weeks ago now, or last week maybe. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I was sitting next to him on the bus, and he was on his phone watching American news. So I thought he was American. I said, "Hey, where are you from?" He goes, "Oh, I'm Czech. I'm Czech." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I just seen you was watching CNN. He was watching news about Chicago." I said, "I just seen you watching CNN, and I thought you was American." He goes, "Oh no, I just like to watch American news just so I can, learn English and this kind of thing, right?" And we talked about it. He said, yeah, he knows the news just like amplifies shit and fucks shit up. And but it's these areas that don't get spoken a lot about, like just how fucked up media is, like on a whole. Like media is like it can be very fucked up to for brown people. Like once you here and here's the thing, once you like really see how deep it gets and you understand, you can really understand. Like I'm not saying you don't understand it, but like you really understand like the weight of it, of like how strong it is. Like it's really a wonder why like black people just start killing white people out of frustration. Like like you know what I mean. And I'm not advocating that at all, but like it's really a shock as to why. It's probably because most black people just aren't aware of like how deep that shit goes. You know, like it's super fucked up. And then the white people like they just don't pay attention because it's not their problem. You know, if it's not your problem, you know, you just don't care. It's just how it is as a human. So it's like it's super fucked up. If that's true for Americans, then how do you explain Americans that go to other countries that act a fool like ladies that go to Dubai and get arrested for? Okay, so another thing, like so what was also real bad, but this is slowed down after COVID. When I was living here, it was a known thing. Like the British, oh, like they would come to Prague and just trash Prague. Like if you ask any person in Prague about the British, like they would come here and just destroy Prague. Like beer bottles, vomit everywhere from over drinking. They just go. They would go crazy in Prague. And the Brits had actually gotten so bad that I want to say Amsterdam actually formally asked them just to stop coming because they would just trash the place. But these things would never make headline news. It was Amsterdam. Let me see this. This is before COVID. Yeah, here it is. So I'm probably gonna get copyrighted, but we're gonna play this for science. So fuck the BBC News if they try to copyright this shit. But this did not make rounds in international news. You had to dig to find this shit because it's now if it was like immigrant Africans, it would have made head. You would have seen it would have been on repeat on CNN worldwide. But see,
officials in the Dutch capital Amsterdam have launched a digital campaign to try to reduce the number of British tourists coming in search of drugs, sex and alcohol. Discouraging adverts like this one will target 18 to 35-year-old men in the UK. The messages are automatically triggered when search teams such as stag party, or search terms such as stag party, cheap hotel or pub crawl in Amsterdam are typed in. Our correspondent Anna Holligan gave us this update.
Around 1 million British tourists travel here to Schiphol Airport and on to Amsterdam every year. And the council now has a message for young British men, and that is stay away. If you are in the UK and this is a digital discouragement campaign, so if you're in the UK and you search for terms like stag weekend Amsterdam, cheap hotel Amsterdam, pub crawl Amsterdam, then these warning adverts will pop up and they show things like a young man staggering in the street, being handcuffed by police, detained, having his fingerprints and mugshots taken, and the message is, if you're coming to Amsterdam, which is notoriously, some would say, Europe's most liberal party capital for a while time, then stay away because you might just create the kinds of lifelong memories that won't serve you well in the future. So they're trying to deter the drunken, disorderly, stoned kind of behavior that residents have been complaining about for a long time. They have told me in the past about British tourists peeing in the streets, in the canals, being sick everywhere, getting naked, and that's the kind of behaviour they want to get rid of. But actually, I've been speaking to young Brits arriving here at Schiphol, and many of them say it's outrageous, we're being stereotyped in this way, this is discrimination. And in fact, that kind of sentiment is echoed among some coffee shop, cannabis cafe owners I've spoken to. One told me, well, they might come for the weed, but then they stay for the Van Gogh. And some of the families who live along the beautiful canal network have told me in the past that it's not necessarily the young British men who are causing the problems, it's over-tourism in general, it's the sheer numbers. So this is part of Amsterdam City Council's effort to try to rebrand the capital's rather raunchy reputation.
Now, the only reason why Amsterdam had the courage to even do that is because Amsterdam has the money to do that. Now, countries like Prague, don't have the money. These countries, I mean, it was cities like Prague, they don't have, like, they depend on that money that's coming from the West. So they're not gonna particularly, like they're not gonna be so strong to speak out against that as they will like the gypsies here. Like, for example, here, I'll show you this. That's what was that, social trash? See, they'll do this. Social chat, check. Where was it? Say Roman. What was it? No, there was a, who was that? There was, they were, this woman was literally on national TV. They probably tried to take it off. Let me see. Where they had literally called, like they will be on national television calling the gypsies social trash. Like, they'll get outspoken about the Browns, but they won't do it about the whites who come here and do shit. I mean, who was that? Gypsy. Social trash. Where was that? It's probably hard to find, but there was a woman, I can't remember who she, but she was literally on international. I'm not internet. She was on national within the country in Czech, because they'll get away with this shit in Czech, just calling them social trash, like, flat out. Mm. Now I'm thinking about it. Let me see if this message is still up, because I didn't even know this. There's a word that Czechs have for Ukrainians that's like calling them the N word, right? And I know this. Oof. Yeah, because see, they was going off in our group chat. Like, 'cause at my son's school, I'm in this chat, and because I didn't know. And my ex-spouse, where is it at? They were, here it is. Okay, so see, this is what they do, like, in their, I'm not saying all Czech people by no means, but it definitely, so this is what happened at my son's school. Something I don't know what happened, but they're like going off on each other in Czech, right? So my spouse at the time, she was reading the messages off to me, because I put the group on mute because they just send too many messages. So this word is a Czech word supposedly for calling Ukrainian. It's like calling a Ukrainian person the N word. They wrote ukachka. Let's see what it says in Google Translate. But that set them off. Like, it got like real bad after they wrote that. Can you guys see this? Why isn't it? Oh. Ooh. I can't put it has the other parts, and I can't put like the ch part and all that. But she said, like, so when they wrote that, right? When they wrote, it's like, that's why they don't like you. Like, they're saying, like, that's why Czech people, that's why nobody likes like Ukrainians. But like, if you call them like ukachka, that's like calling them like an N word in Czech. That's like the Czech N word for Ukrainians, right? And so when I seen that, because we were on a train, and she showed it to me, and I said it out loud because I didn't know what the word meant, and she goes, "No, shh, like, that's a bad word," right? She immediately like jumped on me for saying that. I said, "Why? What's going on?" She goes, "Yeah, that's like, that's a real bad word that we have for Ukrainians. It's like, it's a bad word for them." And so when we went to go pick up my son, well, it was like a bunch of Ukrainians. Right. And so I immediately went over. I said, look, like, I'm sorry that even. I said, first of all, I said, you guys speak English. He said, yeah, we speak English. I said, first of all, I was like, my spouse told me what was said in the WhatsApp thing. And I said, look, yo, I'm sorry that somebody would even say something like that. And they go, oh no, it's okay. Like, we're Ukrainian. We've lived here. We're used to it by now. I'm like, for real? Like, you like, they handled it like they're used to it. You know what I mean? Like that xenophobia. I'm not saying all Czech people, because it's definitely not. Actually, it's a great woman that lives across the hallway. I just talked to her last week. It's definitely not all Czech people, but it happens a lot more easily throughout Europe than it does in America, because they can just hide in their language here with it, so you'll never really know. You know you're a menace if they have to make ads begging you to stay away. Yeah, PTR. But yeah, the reason why, like a richer country who can afford to keep them out can do it, but like many of these, like, European countries can't afford to kick them out. You know what I mean? But to be fair, it hasn't happened pretty much after COVID. I don't remember any time, but before COVID, oh, it was a constant thing. It was a constant thing. Like, you always knew when the British were here, because it would just be beer bottles, beer cans all up and down the street. It'd be vomit every maybe 30 feet. It would be some pile of vomit. Something you always knew when the British were in Prague, because it would just be trashed. It was so bad. I think, like, down in Old Town, it would just be just like, I mean, they were it was just like plastic bags and shit from where they were carrying shit. They just throw it on the street, not even care. Now, Americans would never do that. Americans have a sense of cleanliness, especially if it's in like a poorer country. Like, we still have that sense of like courtesy. Like, our people are trained in that a lot more, you know. But like, when they have fun, they gonna have fun, and they gonna destroy your shit. You know what I mean? Like, when they come here on that. Now, not, of course, like, the British people who I knew who lived here didn't do that, but the ones who came here and would leave, you always knew. Because you would hear them yelling in the street. It'd be the only time you hear English a lot, because you'd hear them yelling drunk all the time. It was horrible. It was really bad. It was really bad. But again, this was before COVID. After COVID, I don't remember it happen a lot. I don't remember it happening very much. But let me play some more of this, because I'm about halfway through this video. It's true for Americans. And how do you explain that Americans that go to other countries and act a fool, like the ladies that go to Dubai and get arrested for raising their voice? Oh, I'm kind of confused on where you get Lila. I'm kind of confused on where you're going with that. How are Slovakians treated in Czech since they're so close? Well, since their language is so similar, they can definitely, like, immediately. For example, I was at this one store. If you watching, man, we went to that store together, and because there's another guy, he comes here from the channel and visits me. We hang out, walk around, and we went to this store, and I was talking to this girl in Czech, and I immediately knew she was Slovakian because of her because her accent. She was speaking Czech, but she had an accent. And don't ask me how I could figure it out, but I just knew. They can mingle a lot quicker and a lot faster, because their languages are like almost like British English and American English, or just UK English and American English. It's almost in the same. It's almost as close, but they do have just some completely different words. For example, anything you'll buy, let's say for this, for example. Well, this is just all Czech. But usually, like, when you buy food or anything, they'll have, okay, so here's my sunflower seeds. I'll show you. I don't think this doesn't have Slovak. This has Hungarian on it. Yeah, that might be Slovakian at the bottom. So, you see that this is CZ for Czech Republic, and these are the ingredients. That's HU for Hungarian. And I think, because Slovakian is usually SL, not SI, so I don't know why. I don't know what that. Slovakian is usually SL, but usually most things you'll buy, you'll have like at least three or four different spellings. But to answer your question, I don't know of any issues Slovakians have. If I had to guess, they're pretty much seen as equal. Like, nothing, kind of like maybe like, I don't want to say that, but maybe like Canadians and Americans, if I had to guess. I don't see them as like when a Canadian would come to America, like there was never any like issue growing up. Whenever I would meet a Canadian person, um, there was never any fighting or anything like that as a kid when I would meet a Canadian person. Never anything. If I had to guess, they're pretty much. If I had to guess, it's similar. Um, Yeah, I've never known Slovakians that have issues because they're Slovakian. Now, Ukrainians were never liked in Czech. And I said that before Russia invaded Czech Republic. Look, a week before Russia invaded Ukraine, Europe unanimously agreed that they hated Ukrainians. Ukrainians were just slightly above the Gypsies. Like they were just like a slight spot up above the Gypsies. And then when Russia invaded, all of Europe tried to pretend that they loved Ukraine because they wanted that money. They wanted that American aid money and help. That's why, because they thought Russia was going to come take them over next. So they all pretend like they like Ukrainians now. And then I remember, which that just destroyed the rent prices and everything. And it got to the point where like they had this like steal stuff. Like for example, there was a sign down the street with like they would start posting pictures of Ukrainians like and have like the word thief written under it because they would be caught on camera like stealing something out of a garage or something because they just had no money. They couldn't afford it to live out here. You know, it's all these little stories that guys like Thomas Sowell are just completely ignorant. Like they live just strictly by books. They're not living by like actually existing anywhere or existing in a proper life. They're just like studying too much from books. And these are stories that you can't. These are situations you can't read from books. These are things you actually have to live. You know what I mean? And be around and exist to know what it is. And this is why I really like the guys like Thomas Sowell do good, like in terms of like reciting Excel sheets and shit like that. But like to be able to think in critical thinking in real life, you'd be better off asking a drunk toddler than these educated guys because they're not educated. Well, they're educated, but just in a very in a very synthetic way, in an extremely synthetic. They're synthetically educated. Thanks for the 2-hour, 1 hour chill. So are Ukrainians the Africans of Europe? Ukrainians are the Mexicans of Europe. I hate to say that. I've never had an issue with Ukrainians. I know how Europe sees Ukrainians, but personally speaking, I've never had. Actually, I was hanging out with one Ukrainian dude who he was the one who knew that porn star, and I told you because I googled because I didn't even know who she was at first, and he took my phone and put her information in my phone because we were supposed to go over there, and when I googled her name, she was like, I remember the first thing I seen was. She was in that porn where it's like one girl like with her hands like she's standing behind her and she has her hands like this and the guy's just coming by like jacking off on her face and she had taken like 36 loads because it had like written in the top part. And see it's these scenarios when it comes to women. See if you want some red pill shit, deal with European women. If you want to see some real red pill shit, go. Okay, the reason why I say European women is because in Europe you have a magical dynamic of segregated wealth in a unified country, but it's not so poor that they can't afford to travel to another country. So if you really want to see how women really are and women can be, like get in with poor European women in some kind of way. And then you see how all that starts to make a whole lot more sense. Like that same girl, you can't even get to smile at you. If you had this and this, and now all of a sudden she knows how to go. You know what I mean? Like immediately. And like I just like if I stop to think about women too long, I just find women entirely disgusting. Like it's just their nature. Their nature is just gross. If you just stop, if you don't get horny and just think about them, like they're entirely disgusting. Like, very little redeemable. I mean, there's some who can be decent, but in the world, it's inevitable because their values. As a Mexican, I'm not offended and know exactly what you mean. Yeah. I say Javi. Yeah, Ukrainians are the Mexicans of Europe. They're pretty much unanimously looked down on by all of Europe. But they're a slight step above like Africans and Gypsies because they're still white, so they can still at least you know, they can bear to look at them. You know what I mean? Like they can bear to look at them without having to gauge, whether they're poor or not. You know what I mean? Because once they're just white, they automatically don't have to be like vetted because of their skin color now. Whereas like if you're brown, it's like, how can I tell is he a good brown or a bad brown? I got to, and this adds to a complication, and many people just don't want to do that. But yeah, I would say they're pretty much the Mexicans of Europe. They're usually going to be the ones out there building sheds, doing the, stereotypically building, they're the ones who are the stereotypes. You're going to be doing the more manual labor, digging shit up, hammering stones into the ground and the cobblestones and, shit like that. Usually either going to be gypsies or Ukrainians that are going to be doing these jobs. Or just low end, just either really low end checks, or gypsies or Ukrainians will be doing that. It's just the truth. From my experiences of actually living here, this is what I've always seen. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, when you go to a brothel, man, like that's when you really see like women's nature. Like, there's no more hiding. And it's always the same thing. See, like a woman who got in, I remember there one time there was this German woman in a brothel in Prague, and I immediately knew that she must have fucked up because she's going backwards, right? Like she's going the wrong way. She needs to be going more west, where she can get men to pay her $1,000, $2,000 for her pussy. She came back here where I can pay $50 for her pussy. She must have fucked up somewhere along the lines. It's crazy how Eastern Europeans treat each other while meanwhile Western Europeans. Yeah. Kevin, how the fuck did you know that? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's 100% true. It's crazy how Eastern Europeans treat each other. Meanwhile, Western Europeans, they look down on all of them. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just curious how you knew that. Are you over here somewhere? Because I never think to really mention that part. But yeah, they look down on all of them. Yeah, it's really sad. Like, it's really sad for sure. Really sad. Cause like, oh, that was the other part. So I sent one of my students. He teaches biophysics at a university here, and I was asking him these questions because, this is the question I asked him. I said, this is back to when I was getting my watch battery fixed, and I asked him. I said like I noticed whenever I would ask somebody if they could change my watch battery, like they would treat me like they were too good to change watch batteries. So I asked ChatGPT about that. Like, what's going on? Everywhere I go in Prague, I asked somebody if they would change my watch battery, and every single one of them treated me as if like it was beneath them to do it, and they either just didn't do it or they had some attitude. Right? It was always like an attitude. And what ChatGPT told me about Czech Republic is that, well, like, Czech Republic was probably one of the worst ones with this. Is that um Americans see work as work, right? We just see work as work and you get the job done. Whereas whereas Czechs, their culture was mostly built in like staying even before communism. It was primarily made and their culture was more like "Look, we're equal, like I'm not like so like in their mentality, like giving a service to someone is like embarrassing. You know what I mean? So like this is why like waiters are very rarely actually happy here and all that. Like they don't have customer service because like it's almost like offensive to them to be seen as just somebody who changes watch batteries, right? And I asked the guy, the student of mine, I said, "Is this true?" And he goes, "Yeah." He immediately told me, "Yeah, that's true." Right? And then so I thought about it because there's like this shame of like being, seen as lower. So then I asked ChatGPT, I said, because I thought about it while I was cleaning off my balcony. And I came in, while I was cleaning off, in the middle of cleaning off my balcony, I ran inside and got on ChatGPT again. And I said, remember that conversation we had about the watch battery? And ChatGPT said, yeah. And I said, well, are Czech people, can they be really ashamed of being seen as lesser for service, or are they ashamed because they don't think they can truly grow? That's why they're ashamed. Because if someone knows that they can grow, they'll go take a janitor job and not feel ashamed about it at all. They'll go drive Uber, whatever, clean dishes. If they know they're in school or if they know they're working on something in the background, they won't be ashamed of it. The only time people are ashamed of something is if they know it's true and they're hopeless to get out of it. That's when that shame kicks in, right? And then ChatGPT said, yeah, that's about right. Well, so I'm not saying I am right, but that's what ChatGPT said. So it's not really the shame of cleaning tables or cleaning toilets. The shame comes in, and having to fight the shame comes in is when the person doesn't think they can actually grow out of it, and they know it's the truth. It's what, and they're having problems actually accepting the reality of what they've become, with no hope to get out of it, and the country is stuck in that. Well, there's going to be some who aren't, but like most of the country is stuck in that mentality. They can't. They've convinced themselves that they can't. So what do you do when you convince yourself that you're stuck? You beat down people who are lower than you. Gypsies, brown people who they think are poor. Anybody from a poorer country. That's what you do, right? When you're in that position. Right. So and like I said, I ended up fixing my own. Well, I got the watch, the case right here. I bought my own watch fixing kit. For anybody who missed it, this is my watch fixing kit. I bought my own and I fixed my own watches. But yeah, and it goes back to that original thing I was talking about with this Apple shit. Like, people outside of like, especially like I don't know much about like countries like Japan because I've never been to Japan, but so I can only speak about like America and from what I know about Canada and the UK kind of thing. Like they don't really, I don't think they really know how sick the rest of the world is. Like with shit like this, with this only the like buying a MacBook in a third world country is a different reality. Look, no, the real problem is why the fuck do you think you need to buy a MacBook in a third world country? That's the fucking problem. It's not that this shouldn't be titled buying a MacBook shouldn't even be in your vocabulary. They should have never even taught you how to spell MacBook. What the fuck you? MacBook. The fuck, motherfucker, you make $500 a month. You shouldn't even know how to. They should never even taught you how to spell MacBook. The fuck you talking about? That'd be like me talking about something. Yeah, man, buying a Ferrari is a whole different challenge working a regular 9 to 5. Well, of course it is, you fucking retard. Because you're fucking, and everybody would call you dumb for that. Because you're stupid. Because you're dumb. Don't buy no, it's not your game. Accept it. I it's over. Or okay, or have a way, have a solid way to get the fuck up out that country. Either give up or find a logical way to get out that country. The last thing you need to be thinking about is a MacBook. All right. And I bet you some ass clowns walking around there showing off their Apple iPhones and MacBooks because they fucking stupid. Y'all motherfuckers need Hitler to, to wake you up back to reality, because y'all motherfuckers is far away from reality. Look, there ain't no need. Look, that'd be like me to walk around trying to talk about something. I need a Ferrari. It sure is a struggle trying to buy a Ferrari working at Walmart. You fucking idiot. Of course it's a struggle. You make $9.25 an hour. These motherfuckers are dumb as hell, man. Like, y'all don't really understand how dumb these motherfuckers are, like, in the world. You know what I mean? Like, but America's dumb. But Americans are the ones who's stupid. Look, it don't take it. Look, Cole from Martin would know. Y'all remember Cole from Martin? He was dumb as hell, and Cole would know. Yeah, he know he don't belong in no Ferrari lot. He don't even know how to spell Ferrari because he don't make no money like that. Cole would know that shit. Homer Simpson would know. Homer Simpson is smarter than these motherfuckers. All right, you should go cut. Now that's bad. If you got these countries that's making $1,000 a month and they can't put together math as good as Homer Simpson can, that's bad. They need to go consult Homer Simpson for financial advice. That tells you the position of the world. Now you see why they can't make nothing of value. They got to consult Homer Simpson for financial advice. Because I bet you Homer Simpson will look at his bank account and be like, never mind. Immediately. All right? Homer Simpson would know that shit. My son would know that shit. My son is 3 years old and he already know, look, I ain't got it like that. And that motherfucker is 3. And you got grown ass men running around here trying to buy a damn MacBook. Man, get your dumb ass out of here. Click off this shit. Because you stupid. Would you say Europeans are more status driven? Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because they're chasing what America's doing. 100%. 100%. Well, I don't want to say not all Europeans. But like, I would say like, definitely not all Europeans. I wouldn't say status driven, but I say they're more status aware. Because that's the other part that I was talking to ChatGPT about. So like in America, let's say like these countries, like these areas that just have wealth, like they will end up dressing far more for comfort. Whereas like Europeans have to like flex it in some kind of way. Like they have to wear super tailored clothes and all this. Where Americans okay, like look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a perfect example. You know what I mean? Regular blue jeans, some sneakers, some shit like that. Right? Now go look at the head of Ferrari. Go look at the head of, you know what I mean, a Lamborghini and all these motherfuckers. Go look at the head of them. And you won't catch them in clothes that ain't perfectly tailored. It's that class hierarchy system is just, it's in their blood. Like they can't work out of it. Like it's just too deep in them. So I'm not going to say every European is like that, but every European has that status trigger. You know what I mean? And it's deeper. It's definitely far deeper than in most of America. I don't say most, but like most average places in America. Of course, like you get the places like you get the places like California, areas of California. It's going to be pretty much as bad as Europe, but you hit some wealthy places like where NFL football players are living, like in Ohio. Yeah, them motherfuckers ain't. I mean, you have some who are like balling out temporarily, but they not really doing that for real. Or like Chad Ochocinco, he came out and told everybody he was buying fake shit. None of it was real. And he was sleeping on the He was sleeping at the stadium, if I'm not or he was showering there or something like that. He wasn't spending none of that money. But yeah, that wait, so they lack humility. Seems like they need their ass beat and to grow up. Man, it's really like it's a sick perversion thing, man. Like it really is. It's just I could talk about this for hours. I'm gonna get off here in a minute, but like I could talk about this shit, like just how sick. Okay, this is another thing. For example, I went to Levi's, a Levi's store. Now in America, Levi's is nothing. But again, they're 20 years behind here, 30, 40 years in reality. So if you go to the Levi's store in Europe, Levi's is not luxury, but it's definitely not cheap. So I got to think about things in like spending power performance. So like for example, I just went to the Levi's store yesterday or 2 days ago, and they were having a sale because I would never buy Levi's at full price in Europe because they just are crazy. And they had a sale. I got a 3-pack of underwear on sale for $20, and um, I got two packs of socks, and they were about $7 a piece, right? Now the total came, I don't know, they came to what's that? It was like 900 crowns. It's about $40, something like that. I could probably find a receipt if I look for it, but I gotta think about that shit. Like in Czech spending power, you gotta double it. So like if I spent roughly $40, $50, that was $100 in their spending power of for underwear and socks, dude. That is gross, and they will pay it. They so when you see an iPhone that's on sale for like $1,000. Okay. See, the part about iPhone that like Android didn't do is that Android has a lot of cheaper options, right? They have cheap options and they have expensive options. Americans don't. We probably don't. You probably in America you probably even notice, but like Samsung has like or just like Android, they have like tons of different Androids. In America, we pretty much just know the top flagship phones, and that's pretty much about it. Like that's all we fuck with. But when you go to a cell phone store over here, you'll see like just like a ton of just like cheaper options in the cell phone store, right? Now, Apple never made just a budget line. Apple, whatever they sell, whatever you see that price tag for in America, it sells for that at least that price everywhere else on earth, regardless of their average wages in those other places, right? So when you see an iPhone for $1,000 in America, a Czech person in their spending power money, they spent $2,000 on that shit, dude, of spending power in their country's prices of shit. Think about that. And it gets worse from there. Okay. Ukraine, that's that's like 3 times that. So they're spending $6,000 of their money spending power on a phone. See, when you really start thinking about see the world, like this is like the world suffers from, the world is like fucked up, dude. Like they are just like fucked up. I just want to have a phone. I just want to buy an iPhone, period. I just want to touch it. Like I was saying earlier with that battery in my watch, they charge $15 to replace a battery here. In their spending power money, that's $30 for a fucking battery for a watch. If I was a Czech person, I just wouldn't even buy a watch. That's horrible. Do you think most Americans could live in Europe for as long as you have? Well, I mean, it really just comes to that individual and their ability to like, stick things out, because you're gonna have hard times no matter what life you pick. Um, it depends on if the American it depends on what that person's background. Like for example, lately I was watching these videos on YouTube where um people are like, even in government sectors, they losing their jobs, and all these people they spending their 401ks to pay their rent and all that, and they thought they was safe because they had a government job. See, like I had learned when I was like 20 to never rely on any one thing for survival. You know what I mean? So like I always knew the government was not my friend. Right? Like I don't care if I'm working with. I mean, it's a safer bet, but I knew you don't got any friends, right? None of that. And like on one hand, like of course I feel sorry for him, but on the other hand, like I'm thinking in the back of my head, I've been saying this all along. Like that government is not Donald Trump is not your friend. If you voted for Donald Trump, I like what Donald Trump is talking about, but Donald Trump is not my friend, and I've never been under that illusion that he is. Okay. Um, so to answer your question, do you think most Americans will make it? It depends on that person's background. I've always looked at the world as if um as if nobody was ever my friend. Nothing or nobody was my friend, and I had to, do something. Except my dad, you know what I mean, or like my aunt or my dad, but mostly everybody else. Now I'm always expecting, the worst out of people first. So like for me, it's much easier for me to like cut ties with things, things are looking good, see reality and not get sentimental about shit, these kind of things, right? Like it's always been easier for me to do that. But if let's say a person who just like only worked one job their whole life, they never did much independent thinking in reality, outside of like what color shoes they want to buy or what they want to eat for dinner. You're gonna hit a point where like you're just gonna be alone, and you have to figure like it's your responsibility to fix your shit, right? So like for a guy who's never faced that reality, it'll probably be harder for him, and he'd feel more comfortable just going back to the US. But here's the thing, in reality, I do think I think an American is definitely more, on average, I would say an American is more prepared to survive in the world versus any European. I would go as far as say any European, because Europeans are mostly like trained with this idea that somebody should just help them out. You know what I mean? Like even when you talk about country problems, like you have to help us out. You know what I mean? It's like this immediate thing with them. Like when it comes to serious independence, like they just don't have it. Like they just like crumble so fast. Even when you could look at how their roads are built, all as soon as one thing breaks, their entire country just crumbles. Like they don't have they don't have that independence built into them on any level. And it's not that they're just bad people. It's just how they developed, as a continent. They've always had to do that on some level. So they don't. So if you take if you take a random American and you take a random European and just throw them in the middle of like Thailand somewhere, the American's going to run circles around that European immediately. Well, maybe not immediately. The American's like softer. It might take him a while, but the Americans have more of that independence in them. Okay, Americans have more of that independence in combination with with that almost fearlessness in combination that the Europeans just don't have. They don't have that. You'll find some here and there, but in general, they won't have it. Like I said, I'm gonna let you guys go with this. So, like in America, like it's very commonplace for like it's not uncommon to say like let's say like if you went to school and you got a bachelor's in accounting and you worked in accounting for 2 years and thought, I don't like that. And then you say, fuck it, I'm gonna go back to school, become a mechanical engineer. And then you go back to school for 2 or 3 more years to get that degree. And then you work in that field for 10 years and be like, I don't like that. And then you go back to school and change to become an electrician. And then you do that for the next 20 years and retire and be like, I think I want to be a chef. And then you go back to school and learn how to be a chef. And you do that till you're 80, right? See, that is strongly an American thing. That ability to reinvent yourself, to accept that you failed in what you thought you would do for the rest of your life, that fearlessness to go back and relatively fearlessness to go back and try. These are strongly strong Westerner American, maybe Canadian traits. I don't know if Canada has the same situation, but like over here, like when they're 15, they pretty much have their life plan made out right there. They do not go back and reinvent themselves. It's one and done. generally speaking. They do not go back to school at 40. Then, I mean, know that. Like, by the time they hit 15, they have to pick, I think, between three different types of school in Czech Republic. They have to pick between three different types of schools. And I think if you don't pick the gymnasium, then you're pretty much just saying you're never going to college. You just won't go to university. And you go to like some trade school shit. And there is very low chance to get back up. And this is another area me and my spouse will get into it, is because like I want her to get up and go to school. And she's just like, even now she's terrified to get her license because she's scared she's gonna fail the test. They don't have that sense of reinvention, that curve. Like, see, we can go on a YouTube stream. I could go on a YouTube stream with the European and they'll say they have it. You know what I mean? They'll say it on TV and on Instagram, but in reality, they don't do it. They don't have it. There is no such thing as reinventing. You do one thing and that one thing is it, and you better hope somebody gives you a job, and that's it. In America, they make Europe seem like a haven. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're. And I was thinking about this while I was driving home today. Europe to Europe to white America is like the hood for black people in America. It's fun, it's carefree, as long as you go there as a hobby. You actually want to imitate it. Like my friends growing up, Chaz, Fred, them, you almost want to imitate it because it's a fun hobby when you're from the suburbs. You know what I mean? Like going to the hood as a black dude living in the suburbs, going to the hood is an adventure. It's a fun hobby. It's interesting. You want to walk and talk like the guys from the hood because they're cool and different, right? Until you end up in there and then you see how everything's actually really working, and then you're like, look, this is trash. Get me the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That's how white America sees Europe. They see Europe as like a white heaven that nothing could ever go wrong. They have all healthy foods, and their foods are better than North America, and it's just better and better. But till they get here, and every time I've ever known a white American to come here and move here, then they actually see how it is. They'll go on more than I'm going on about it, actually. I'm actually soft core about it. Once they see how government offices move, how pretty much any customer service, how any thought for the future for anything works here. Oh yeah, yeah. Because usually they'll have to go out and work in that 5 days a week. So I don't go out and work in that 5 days a week. So like I can keep it like out there. I pretty much I do all my work in America online. So like I do very little actual work, here. So like I said, I keep it separate. Um, Now, what Europe is great at is the ability to socialize, the ability to travel, these kind of things. But when it comes to anything of like, you want to do anything innovative or that's going to develop, individual growth, that's where you're going to have a lot of problems in Europe. That's where the problems really come in real fast. If you just want like basic food, basic health care, and when I mean basic, I mean basic. You want basic food, basic health care, basic hobbies, you'll be fine. You'll be great. But as soon as you want to grow, for example, I was showing my dad smartphones on Amazon. And this one phone I seen on cnet.com, it was on sale for like $400. And it gave the Amazon link. And I clicked the Amazon link, and it said to have that $300 phone imported literally from Germany, Czech Republic, which is like 2 hours away, they wanted $90 shipping fee for that on Amazon. See, these are the stories Thomas Al ain't talking about. These are the stories that people who think Europe is a white heaven, they don't know these things. These are what you'll learn this from actually living here. So when it comes to innovation and growth, that's when a lot of your okay. Here's another sick thing that happens too. So that website I talked about a while back called Vinted. I was buying a lot of my clothes off there. It's a secondhand website. And I bought some of my son's clothes off of there. So this is how fucked up the pricing is. So I wanted to buy a Nintendo Wii U controller, nunchuck from my. I wanted to buy a Nintendo Wii nunchuck from my Wii U in the other room because I wanted to play, I think, Kirby or something like that. But you need the nunchuck. You can't play it with just the gamepad. So I know electronics are cheaper in Germany, but when you go on the Vinted website, in being in Czech Republic, if you type in vinted.cz, you're only going to see stuff from Czech Republic and Poland. That's the only places where you can buy all Vinted from. So when I use the VPN, oh no, okay, and to add to this, when I did find the Nintendo Wii nunchuck, they were selling for like triple the price used, right? I think they wanted like, I don't know, maybe like $20 for like a Wii nunchuck. Not even a whole part, just like the one joystick part, right? It's like $20, right? Which again would be $40 of their spending power money. Now, when I use a VPN and I type in Vinted. I think DE is for Germany, Deutschland. Their Wii U nunchucks was like properly priced, American prices, like $3 or $4 because it's old shit that nobody uses, right? But you can't. So I tried to log into my account like that. You can't do that. You can't buy from Germany on Vinted. That's going to be a much better price, right? I hope that wasn't too confusing. But what I'm getting at, like Europe has a lot of just petty issues like that will severely fuck up prices for shit. And see, these are areas that again the world doesn't know. And the Europeans, see, they think it's normal because they don't know anything, right? So they think it's normal, and they just make fun of North America for anything North America does because they think America has the same fucked up shit that's here because they don't know anything else, right? Right? And see, this is the sick part, of like everybody's just ignorant as fuck. Like back to this, like buying a MacBook in a third world country, like it's just ignorance. It's just stupidity and ignorance. You shouldn't even be buying a MacBook if you're in a third world country. Why are you even buying a MacBook? I like hearing your millions of Americans have no health care. Europeans can't fathom living like that. Well, here's the thing, Jabby. Now I tell people, actually, I was telling this group of Dutch girls this because we was talking about this. I said, no, Americans don't have health care, but it's not like you can't be seen. Like, in America, if you go to a doctor's office, if you go to a doctor, it is illegal for them to turn you away. If you go to a hospital, it's illegal for them to turn you away. They take an oath to where they have to help you. It's not that they would just, if you walk up there with a broken arm, they could just push you out. They have to take you. They legally have to. Now, they could print out a bill for you later, but they have to take you. And I think that's the major confusion of healthcare. Now. You say Europeans can't fathom. Now here's the part that Europeans live with, and they think is normal, but it's super fucked up. Where like you can go to a hospital here. And first off, the hospitals here are usually pretty bad. They wouldn't be allowed to be open in the hood in North America, especially the one here in Prague. If you've seen that hospital, when I was speaking to that female friend I knew, she said her child's father, he's from America. He wouldn't even go inside the hospital here when he's seen it. It's that bad inside, right? Now, people who work in the hospitals here are usually just jealous of American hospitals, so they hate North American healthcare because they're really jealous of the quality of American buildings and the hospital. So they'll just double down on that American hate for healthcare out of just pure envy and jealousy. But also another issue that doesn't get spoken about is when you go to a hospital here. One, there's a good chance you're gonna have a huge. You'll be sick. You go into these like Prague for expats. Go read these stories. I've witnessed these stories firsthand, but you can read them online. When you go to a hospital here, you will be sitting there for 6 hours, 8 hours with literally bleeding out, and they just are just horrible people. The workers in there, those would be terrible. No customer service. And you will sit in there literally for 6 to 8 hours straight. Okay. So these are stories that Thomas Sowell doesn't know about, right? Now, on top of that, You may not even be seen. Now guess what? Now you got to go now you got to go home with broken whatever and schedule an appointment in Austria. So now you got to, and you don't even know you're going to be seeing Austria. Now you got to ride a train all the way to Austria. And you don't know if it's going to be the same thing there. Because your doctor in your country wouldn't take you. Right? See, and it's not fluid. It's not like you could just go to anyone you just want to. They don't work. If one thing Europe specifically lacks, it's unification. Okay, it's going to be a congested, clunky mess wherever you go. So, like the concept of free healthcare, is very poorly explained by any European, because again, Europeans, this is all they know, so they think it's normal. Now, there are good cases. Don't get me wrong. There are good cases of things that happen, but things go horribly wrong too, and it'll go so wrong in a way where like there's nothing you can do at all. You can't sue hospitals. They won't see that whole situation in America, how you can just sue people for shit. Oh, they're not, you can't, these people don't play by laws out here. They play by what they feel like doing. You know why? Because it's government funded. They don't have to play by rules. What's going to happen? You see, it's all these little parts that people don't talk about. They'll talk about the one or two good things that happen, but which are some good parts about it, but they don't talk about how quickly things can go terribly wrong over it, horribly wrong. And then it's so segregated to where, like, let's say, like, if you talk to people from the UK, you'll have. I remember when I worked in IT, it was a table. It was a bunch of people from the UK and America there. It was a table where I went with that guy to the brothel with that time a long time ago. And here's the UK was so segregated that two people from Britain, and they didn't even live that far apart. One person will sit there and tell you that they watched their dad die. I still remember this one woman. Her name started with an L. I can't remember. Louise, that was her name. She sit there and told me that she watched her dad die because he waited 9 months to get to go see a doctor. And another person who lived like not very far from her had no idea that people had to wait to see a doctor. They'd have no sense of unification, like none. None. They have absolute. I mean, I'm talking like it's a whole different world. You know, like it's like, so it's these little parts that people don't talk about Europe. That is like either continental or the UK. Like it's these smaller areas that don't get talked about openly enough, and then people just jump on America because they hear that Americans have to pay, you know, for healthcare, which we do, but on the back end, we actually have access to far better over-the-counter drugs in America, far better. I just watched a documentary. I'll show you. What was it? Why is meth? I just watched because they actually single out Czech Republic in this, and this is true shit. I think this is it. So watch. I think this is the video right here. How meth is killing Europe. See, so the reason why they don't have good over-the-counter drugs is because they will literally just make drugs and kill themselves. So they have to. So the countries have to take out literally any ingredient that's actually good for pain killing, sore throats, anything. So I was speaking with one of my students about 3 weeks ago. It was this girl, because she was gone all November. This is about 3 weeks ago, and because we on this topic about the foods and the drugs and stuff. And I told her, and then this was true because me and my spouse, we got into it about this. When my son got sick one time, she kept making him take this cough syrup, right? And if she's watching, she knows what I'm talking about. She set him down on the bed and made him take that cough syrup. So then, like, now I'm trying to help her to make him take this cough syrup, and he's just like, you know, grossed out, disgusted. So I tried the cough syrup. Let me tell you this, and I would not feed that cough syrup to a dying horse. That cough syrup tastes like pure WD-40 mixed with Grey Goose, mixed with just metal scraps. That was and they're feeding that shit to kids. See, these are stories you don't hear on social media about European. Their feet. Look, another story. I remember another time he was just vomiting. For some reason, he just kept throwing up. I don't know why he kept vomiting for some reason. He would go through these phases when he was smaller where he would just like vomit like 5 times in a row, and I don't know why. So I went to the store to get some to ask the pharmacist what to get, and they said it was some black tea made for kids, and they gave me some electrolyte pouches for him. Right? I'm like, oh, okay, electro. So it must, all right, cool. So I remember I brought that shit back home. I bought it and brought it back home. And I tried that electrolyte shit. I said, that shit tastes like fish water. Literally, like fish water. Like fishes had been shitting in that shit, and I'm supposed to feed that shit to a fucking 2-year-old, to a 2-year-old. Of course he ain't gonna want to drink that shit, you fucking moron. Like again, anything that calls for thinking for other people, like they just don't care. Like it's just, oh well. Like, see, these are the stories you don't get out there, back in America. They just stay quiet about it because they think it's normal. They don't know anything else. Don't even get me on throat spray. Their nose sprays, it's pathetic. It's terrible. Like see, the reason why they have all this old culture is because they never developed into modern ways of doing anything. That's why they still have this old culture around, because they've never developed. The nose spray, no, if I miss American nose. American nose spray, if your nose is super congested in America, you get you some nose spray and spray that shit, your nose will be clear. Okay? Here, it's stupid. It's like the dumbest. I just don't even take medicine because it's just so bad. All right? You can't taste it, but like the medicine for children, it's just bad. Okay? And again, this is life experience. This is from reading it off of Yahoo or ChatGPT, and this is from literal experience. Okay, child medicine, it's pathetic. It's completely. I mean, this is literally it's literally shit from like the 1920s. Okay. One from the UK was there for like 4 months. For her overeating disorder, she said it was cheaper. WD-40 and Grey Goose about threw up thing about it. Oh, Levon Willis, that cough syrup was terrible. I mean, like I said, I would never. I'm not giving him that. So I am not giving him that cough. I think I threw it out after that. I threw it after I tasted it. I'm not drinking that. I'm not eating that shit. Feeding that to a child. And then get mad at 3-year-old don't want it. Get mad at 2-year-old don't want it. And you ain't even tried it. Hell no. If you thought children's Tylenol was bad, no, bruh. See, there's a reason why these countries, they drink alcohol at much earlier ages, and they can drink, they can actually stand drinking alcohol. Yeah, because they've been abused their entire childhood from child medicine. That's how they can take straight shots of vodka when they be 16. Because their parents was feeding them gasoline as cough syrup. But it's better because it's European. The fuck out of here. We're poisoning their own damn kids. And they get away with that Europe nostalgia because it's European. Like, no, hell, it's fucking gross. But see, when it comes to healthcare and health, these are things that never come up. These are because most people just don't know. They come here for a week. Yeah, when you come here for a week and fuck their hookers and just drink their cheap beer, yeah, and see some nice old buildings because they don't know how to build new buildings. Yeah, you can hide in a haven of white heaven of illusion. But like when you live here, you start to see all these little. And it's not all bad, but I'm just going off on areas that don't get talked about. These are areas that you just don't. You don't hear people talk about much. Well, I've never been to Australia. I'm scared to go to Australia. I hear too many stories about big ass spiders, and I don't like bugs, so I'm too afraid. Because if I see a big spider, like I will be that crazy person walking down the street with WD-40 and a lighter, just burning everything on fire because I seen one big spider. Yeah, I will burn the country down. Okay, if I see a big spider, I will walk down the street with the little spray with the little straw on the end and just a lighter, just burn up mailboxes and everything. Fuck us, fuck Australia. If I see a big spider, fuck Australia. Burn in hell. Motherfucker showing pictures of them spiders on the internet. Yeah, I'm cool. Hey, keep that. Man, I'm out of here. It's late. I'll catch y'all later, man. Peace out. I'm out.